Kaver-3 Ameerika Jalgpalli podcast.
Tere tulemast kuulama Kaver-3 Ameerika Jalgpalli podcasti, minu nimi on Ülar ja alustame siis uut aastat ja alustame siis jälle selle väikse seeriaga Ülar ja tema sõbrad ja esimesena on mul külas mu roommate, mu positsioonikaaslane, teine defensive end teisel poolt liini, aga selleks me peame minema inglise keelde. So let's go English, Josh. But how was that Estonian language? I know you've heard it.
Yeah, I like it. I know Coach, when we got a ring, he said he was making fun of the language.
Yep.
I like it. It's very flowy, so it's not very choppy.
But
like
does it remind you of anything? Or no?
Not so much. It reminds me of Finnish because of Oni, obviously. When you speak to him, it sounds very, very similar.
Yeah.
I say it's super similar when it really comes down to the language. But like when you were just talking, I didn't understand the word besides the end, roommate, like these little things that you can connect with. But
yeah. So let's do intro too. Yeah, just so
Joshua Wünsch as me.
Wünsch with the Ü.
With the Ü.
Yeah,
just like Ular.
Yeah.
We got the German umlaut in there.
Yep.
Yeah, I was born in Germany, raised in Germany.
That's like super funny because like anybody who's listening right now is like, yeah, he's fucking American.
Yeah, it's especially I don't have the accent anymore because I've lived in the States as long as I've lived in Germany now.
Yeah.
So the accent has kind of gone away. The funny thing is that Germans tell me I have an American accent now.
When you speak
when
German.
I speak German, but when I speak English, everybody thinks I'm just American. I don't have that German accent anymore when I speak English. Which is pretty interesting when it comes to language and when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Like I was listening like fun like this is a funny story, fuck it, let's talk about it. So I was calling my dad like 2 days ago, and like where I'm from Saaremaa, that's island, the biggest island in Estonia, and we have a local accent that is pretty specific. Like Estonians, like if Estonians listen to me, like they know exactly where I'm from.
Yeah.
But first time ever, I realized my dad has a really heavy freaking Saaremaa accent. I was like, what the? And then I started thinking like, am I losing mine or what? Why do I notice it? like, but it's like funny, like even like a small language is like you have different dialects and freaking accents and stuff like that. So that's so funny. But so I always ask the first question: why American football? But like for you, it's kind of okay question to ask, but at the same time, it's not. So let's start from the beginning. So how long did you live in Germany?
So pretty much half my life. So I'm 22 years now, turning 23 in August. So 10, I think I was 10 and a half years old. So 5th grade. That's when my dad took a job opening in the States. Asked the entire family if we were down to do this. I was 10 years old. I didn't really have a say, but we did, which was nice that our dad kind of went to us and was like, hey, are you guys okay with this? For me to take this job, to make this big step and move across the world. Because it's literally across the world, across a huge pond, that we like to call it. But yeah, so 10 and a half years I lived in Germany. I didn't know much about football. All I knew about was, I think it was Madden 11 or Madden 12. My dad got it for a PlayStation, and that's the first time I played with it. So
that was back in Germany.
Yeah, it was back in Germany. So my favorite player way back then, I always played with the Chicago Bears or New England Patriots. So obviously Tom Brady back in the day, New England Patriots, that was the team,
obvious,
especially in Germany. You didn't know much about football. Yeah. So that's all you hear is just the fucking dynasty of the Patriots.
Yeah.
And then I was a huge Brian Urlacher fan. Humongous Urlacher fan back in the day.
That makes sense now?
Yeah. Now when I look at it, the way that I play, it's pretty similar. Yeah. Pretty hard-headed, just...
Old school,
get it done.
Throwback.
So I got into football through the game, and I never really played football in Germany. I didn't even know that football existed in Germany.
Okay, but did what you played back when you started, like in elementary school in Germany? What sports did you play?
So I played soccer because I'm
Typical
German.
Yeah.
If you're German and you're young, you play soccer. And I played basketball because my dad, 6'4", pretty big guy. His main sport was basketball.
Okay,
so,
in Germany.
In Germany,
yeah.
But he also lived in the States for a year and a half, so he was an exchange student in high school. So he was a sophomore in high school, went to the States. That's actually where I got my name from, Joshua.
Oh, yeah.
It's not in German. It would be Joshua.
Yeah.
But it's actually Joshua because it's the like American version of it because he met this little kid that he thought it was super cute, and then that became my name. Okay. And then especially here in Germany, everybody's like Joshua, Joshua, and I always have to correct everybody. It's like it's not Jot, it's not a Joshua.
Yep.
It's a
I've
J.
heard it too many times too already.
It's Joshua. So yeah, I always have to correct people when it comes to that.
But so soccer. Mostly just
basketball here and there, going to my dad's game, getting into it. My sister was really good at basketball.
Okay.
She almost won, which was like the German national championship for her age. So they have this big tournament that all different teams from Germany come together, and it's the best teams, and she was part of that.
Yeah.
I didn't make it. It's called the Bayern-Auswahl. I didn't make it. I wasn't good enough in basketball.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, she was really good. But yeah, it was those two sports. I was focused mostly on soccer. I loved soccer. Huge Bayern Munich fan, Deutscher Meister. Well, not this year, but the past 11 years.
Yeah. And what else happened to them? A couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, they tough loss. Very tough loss against Real Madrid. There's a couple things that happened at the end of the game that are very questionable, but that's in the past now. Next year we got it. We fired our coach. Hopefully we get a new good coach in. So, don't know who it is, but we shall see.
So you were from southern Germany?
Yeah, so Munich. Yep,
Munich?
Bavaria.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's the state of Bavaria. I think it's the biggest state in Germany. And yeah, I never really traveled north very much. Like, this is my first time in Berlin.
That is the funniest thing ever. You lived almost 11 years in Germany. You've never been in your own capital.
Never been in Berlin, ever. Which is super interesting. And now that I've been to Berlin, I know it's beautiful. I need to travel there even more. To kind of go sightseeing, all this kind of stuff.
What are we going to do tomorrow?
But Berlin. But yeah, so soccer, basketball, never really got into football. Besides the game, just kind of seeing
just
what
a little
it
bit,
is, but never really fully understanding it. And then we moved to the US.
Fondest memory, childhood memory. You have something cool
in Germany?
Yeah, in Germany before you went.
So this is a pretty funny story. So, we always walk to school here. I know. It's similar in Estonia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not like in the US where you get driven to the bus stop and then the bus takes you right to the school, and then you don't walk very much in the States, but
or your parents pick you up or take you to school. Either or.
It's one or the other.
Yeah.
Whereas here we always walk to school or bike to school. So my pretty much elementary school. I obviously walked to school, and I came back with one shoe.
Wait, what? In the morning,
my parents had the same reaction. They're like,
so you went in the morning with 2 shoes and came back in the evening?
I came back with 1 shoe.
So what happened to the other shoe?
That shoe is somewhere in the river. And it's gone.
Still floating somewhere.
So probably still floating somewhere. Maybe it's gotten to a big ocean now. It's just floating around somewhere in the ocean. But yeah, that's...
How did you lose it though? What did you do?
It was just, we were being little kids. We were throwing things in the river. Started with rocks.
Yeah, okay.
And it ended with a shoe.
You didn't want to throw away your book bag or something, maybe?
No, we didn't get that far yet. This is pretty expensive. I don't know how my parents would have reacted to that, but...
You just decided to take a shoe off and just sling it in the... Okay, fair enough.
Pretty much. That's one memory that I have stuck in my brain. Yeah. Just coming back from school with only 1 shoe, and my parents just being so disappointed and being like, "How is this even possible? How do you go to school with 2 shoes and come back with 1 shoe?"
That's the most kid story ever, though. Like, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, that's something you only do when you're a kid. Like, you don't do that when you're grown up anymore.
No. Yeah, it depends. Depending on what state are you in right now, but yeah, understood.
How many beers do you? How many? Exactly. You never know.
Yep. But so moving to Germany. So I'll be an exchange student. I know there's a culture shock, regardless
Yeah.
how ready you are, you think you are, but especially as a 11-year-old kid. So how was the transition to like German? That the interesting thing is like you had both parents Germans, right?
Yep.
And so you just took your family. So now your whole family has to integrate into that system,
Yep.
right? So how was that everything? Where did you go to? Where did you move to?
So it's
initially?
Michigan.
Michigan?
We moved to Michigan.
Uh-huh.
It's the big mitten in the U.S. U.S. is ginormous, and then there is this little mitten in the
Yeah.
top right that's surrounded by lakes. So that's Michigan.
Which side of Michigan? Left?
So we live on the west side.
West side, yeah. Okay.
So right next to Detroit. So
Oh, okay.
we moved 45 minutes away from Detroit. So suburbs of Detroit. So it was a 45-minute ride until we got to Detroit, and that's the biggest city in Michigan. So moved to Lake Orion. That's the little town in the suburbs of Detroit, and the culture shock was big. So
Did you speak in English?
no, so
Zero?
So I knew how to say my name is Josh. I am 11 years old, and that was pretty much it.
Okay.
So in Germany, you learn. I think it's changed now. I think it moved down. But when I lived here, you start learning English in 5th grade. So I just started because I moved pretty much halfway through 5th grade. I moved to the States. So I just started taking English classes. So I couldn't understand that shit.
Okay.
My sister was a lot more advanced. She was 2.5 years older than me. So she's already been taking English for 4 years.
So she was able to speak to a degree at least?
So she could understand a couple things. She was able to somewhat hold a conversation. But still, obviously, it wasn't fluent. It wasn't easy for her either. It was a little bit easier for her.
Yeah.
But not easy.
So how does it work then? Like, what did your parents do to like integrate, help you with this?
Yeah, so
because I'm guessing your dad spoke English, right? Your mom.
So my dad was he was the most integrated already.
Yeah, because of the exchange year and stuff. Yeah, so he knew the culture.
He already spoke English, especially with his work.
Yeah.
He had to speak English because they had a factory in China, they had a factory in Mexico, so he had to be able to speak English with all these people.
Yeah.
So he was very good at English and had it down. So it wasn't a big issue or problem for him language-wise. So there was no language barrier. But when it came to us three, my mom, my sister, and myself, there was a pretty big language barrier at the beginning. But what they did at first was we took a 2-week, I think 2 or 3 weeks. It was something like that. Kind of a vacation just for us to kind of see it and
the culture, like American.
Exactly.
Okay.
So before we actually moved over, we already knew that we were gonna move. But before we officially moved, we went there to kind of check out different houses, check out different locations we might move to. And my parents were very proactive with that as well. They kept asking my sister and I, where do you guys want to live? Where do you guys see yourself living? Do you guys want to go to a private German school? Do you guys want to go to a public school? Like, what do you guys want to do? So they were very proactive with asking us how we feel, what we want to do. And I think that made the transition a bit easier. And I get a lot of questions like, why didn't you go to a German school? Why didn't you go to a private school?
Was there even an option to a German school?
There was a American German school, especially for kids like me.
Who moved over.
That move over from Germany, and the classes are still in German, but they slowly switch over into English. But my sister and I, we didn't like private schools. We had this kind of like this notion in the back of our head of what private schools are and what private schools look like. And that wasn't us. It wasn't me. It wasn't my sister. We like the public community type aspect of it.
That's how it is in Germany too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they're same in Estonia, same like most
so
publics.
we like it having that public aspect of things. And then, so that's how we kind of decided we want to go to a public school. We don't want to go to this private school or an all-boys school or an all-girls school or anything like that.
So did you have to, so when finally you decided you landed in next to Detroit, you found a school, everything. So did you have to take like extra classes too now for like English or?
Not really.
So they just threw you into the regular
pretty much,
class?
yeah. So it was very hard at first. But the lucky thing,
long term, it was quicker, right? When you would have gone to the freaking German school, right?
It took me half a year to be. I wouldn't say fluent, but almost understand everything. Hold a conversation with people. Be out in public and just talk to people. I had a really bad accent. But
that happens.
I could talk to people. I could hold conversations, and it took me 6 months. but you're young, your brain is still developing, so you're kind of picking these things up very quickly as you go along, especially when you get, like you said, you get thrown into the English culture or the American culture, and now everything around you is English. You have to, your brain has to pick it up. You have to learn. So I like that we did it that way. And then I got really lucky with our teacher. His name was Mr. Mick, 5th grade teacher. Greatest. At first he translated all my science, history. He translated everything I needed into German. So when
he's American, like he doesn't speak German, right?
He didn't need to do any of this. He did it all extra for me, so I can kind of adapt better and feel like feel normal to a certain degree. Because at first I couldn't do a single worksheet in English. Exactly. I didn't know what to do. And so he translated it. Math was pretty simple because that's numbers. It's math. It's numbers. Exactly. I see the numbers. So like listening during class was a little tough. I passed a lot of notes because I wasn't paying attention, especially in math. But he helped me so much with understanding and learning.
Especially initially to get over the initial struggle.
And the very first, and the cool thing is like I still remember this first day I got to the school. He pulled out 2 one still a really good friend of mine. His name's Sam Perillo and Vanessa Hewlett. Pulled these 2 people out. These are like the smartest kids in the class, and kind of forced them to become my friend. So that was this American culture that I kind of got to see. This very friendly culture that we want to integrate you. We want you to feel at home. We want you to feel like this is your home now. So I really got to feel. They welcomed me with open arms, and he sat me in the front of the room, sat me right next to Vanessa, who helped me all year long. At times, she would literally let me cheat off her during tests and exams because she knew I didn't fucking know what I was reading or what I was talking about. So she would help me out so much. But
so you got there in the middle of the school year or in the middle?
So it was pretty much in the middle of the school year. Yep.
Did you have to skip a class somehow or no grade or something?
No, not really. So I got integrated pretty quickly, pretty fast, pretty nicely.
Okay. Because I can imagine it can be kind of like almost like, you skip a year just so you can get into the system.
Kind of like a set error.
Pretty much. But you didn't do any of that?
No, so we went right into it.
And how old are you in Germany when you go to school? Like 6, right?
I think so. 6. So you start. When you have preschool and then you go to kindergarten. Here we just have kindergarten.
But
I think it's around 6-ish.
Okay, but you graduated the same age group in high school when you graduated, like 17, or were you?
So when I graduated high school, I was
16.
No, I just turned 17.
So it's just 17.
Yeah, I just turned 17.
So pretty much the same age group. Yeah. So you didn't skip the year because I know, like in Estonia, for example, we go to school a year later. So even if I would be in the same grade, I would be a lot older in US. But that's just the difference. That's why I was just wondering.
I was the youngest in my grade always.
You were youngest
I think
actually.
In the US, because of the preschool that they have, because you go to preschool for a year or 2 before you go into kindergarten. We don't have that in Germany. We just go straight into kindergarten. So with like what you said, I was always the youngest because they get graded in a year later than Germans usually do. So I was in a grade with a bunch of 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds.
Plus, your birthday is also in August. So end of the year. So that makes sense. In the middle. That actually, but that's good because then you went to college the same age everybody else. And okay, so that's good. So sports now. So when you got to the US, culture shock, everything, get over that, and get integrated into there. So how were your parents? Like American parents? Like, you need to do sports. You need to do that. Or how was it?
They were very open when it comes to that. They let me do things, let me try things. So obviously I kept wanting to play soccer. So we found this team, the club team, and name was Vardar. I played for Vardar for, I think it was 4 years, until I then officially stopped playing soccer to focus on football. And I also always played not in Amiral. There's also this team, like there's a D3 team that I played for basketball. So we had these teams like that my dad
club teams?
Yeah, they were also like club teams. It wasn't
it with the school?
So it was for school eventually, but when school season was over, I would also still play basketball in like the off season to have like a club type team.
Okay. That's interesting.
So I started with soccer and basketball still. didn't know much about football. I knew what football was.
But
I didn't
did you
know if I
wanna
wanted
try?
to play it. So I don't know how I got into it.
Okay.
I remember going to a tryout in sixth grade.
Sixth
so this
grade.
wasn't school yet. This was still club. It was still Lake Orion football, but it was club football.
Okay, like
so it wasn't
like-
based on the school.
Oh, really? Okay.
So for us, we started school sports in 7th grade. 7th, 8th grade, 8th grade, 9th, all the way through high school until varsity high school.
Yeah.
So 6th grade, we did not have the school sport yet.
Okay.
It was still club. And what I vividly remember is this really big guy who weighed in, and he was too big to play. And I was like,
too big to play.
I was like, what the fuck? This is a thing? And then I got scared. I'm like, am I about to be too big to play? But I wasn't a big guy. So I was like, well, what is this? Like, I didn't know that there's size differences, and if you're too big or a certain weight, you're not allowed to play with these kids.
Okay, kind of makes sense, but at the same time,
it makes sense. But if you're that age,
who cares?
you're just big.
Yeah,
Like,
this is not your fault.
Exactly.
You know? Okay.
So I just remember going to this tryout, and playing offense. That's the only time I've played a skill position on offense in my entire life. I played wide receiver. I think I was 81. Because Kelvin Johnson,
Okay.
I was a Detroit fan. Once I got there, I was a Lions fans right away. I watched a couple Lions games, and I saw Kelvin Johnson wearing 81, absolute stud. So I was like, I'm going to be 81. I'm going to try to be a stud.
Yeah.
Didn't work out. I was not a very good wide receiver. They put me in at running back one time. I had a single play at running back. I had the ball, and I swam a guy with the ball. And my coach said, "Yeah, you're done. You're done. You're not playing running back anymore." And I'm like, "All right, respect." But yes, I was 6th grade. I didn't know much. I didn't even know if I wanted to keep doing this. I did have fun, and I had a really cool coach who made it fun.
But that wasn't JV yet, right? It wasn't.
No, it wasn't even close to like the football that I'm going to get into eventually. Like once you get into high school, once you play JV, once you play varsity, all this kind of stuff. This was still like small club, more like have fun, rather than take it serious.
Okay.
And then in 7th grade, I still played football. I decided to try out for the school team, and I made it. I was a little bit chunkier, a little bit bigger boned, I like to say.
Bigger boned, yeah. That was that was the main sentence when I was growing up.
So I switched from wide receiver, running back to center. And in 7th grade, I played center.
Nice.
I was a dog. Quick hands, fast off the ball. Our quarterback was a stud, so we had things locked down.
Front. But that was now school, official school.
This was
team,
now
right?
school, So I went to school, and then after school, I went to practice. After practice, my parents picked me up, and I went
all that stuff. But then so when did you know football was the sport, though? Like, did it come later, or
it came super late? So
because how long did you play soccer and basketball at the same time? Throughout the high school, or?
It was, so throughout high school, I played JV basketball. Then I tried out for varsity basketball. I got cut. Bullshit. There's 2 guys that made it. 2 of us got cut. Myself and this other kid named Matt Freeman. We both got cut, and there was these 2 scrubs that made it. And both of us, we were livid. Because we know we were better than them. We don't know how they made it, but at that point, once I got cut from the basketball, like from the tryout, I realized, or I kind of made football my main thing. I was like, obviously, I haven't put in the work at basketball. I love this sport, football. I love what it has done to me physically, mentally, all this kind of stuff, all the things that I've learned from it. And then I started taking that seriously. I would say that was junior year of high school. So pretty damn late. So I also played freshman, which then you're on the freshman team, was nothing special. Sophomore year, I played JV, which is junior varsity.
Yeah, did you get it to varsity too? Or?
So sophomore year, I started at safety for the first half of the year.
So in freshman team too, you were defense then?
I played defense.
Only defense.
I played linebacker and safety. Freshman. I started the entire year. And then sophomore year came around. I started at the beginning of the year, but the problem is JV, you have games on Thursdays, And every Wednesday, I was still going to this German school to learn German language arts.
Really?
So I was going to 2 separate schools at the time. So I was going to
Just a regular high school? Yeah.
throughout the day, and then every Wednesday, once my high school day was done, I would have 2.5 hours of German school that
Once
I
a
would
week?
have to go to once a week.
Once a week, okay.
Every Wednesday.
And that was like something you wanted to do, or was it more
So-
like your parents kind of wanted
I
to?
hated it.
You hated it? Okay.
I absolutely hated it.
But now looking back at that,
now it's nice to have because I have my German high school degree.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Same with my American high school degree.
okay.
So that
Yeah.
actually really helps me here in the Germany if I want to get a job in Germany, or even if I want to get a certain job in the US, just to kind of show that hey, I have this done as well.
okay. But you did like it, obviously.
I hated it. I have a really good friend from there that also did it. That's honestly the only positive that came from it. But I hated it mostly because I had to miss football practice every Wednesday to go to German school. So that's what bothered me the most, because it also bothered my coach, and my coach didn't fully understand that I kind of had to do this.
Yeah.
So halfway through the season, it became a bigger and bigger problem because JV plays on Thursday.
Yeah.
So our getting ready for the game is on Wednesdays, and then our recovery is Friday. So every Wednesday for our pre-game practice, I wasn't there. So it became a bigger and bigger problem throughout the season for him. And then at the end of the season, I didn't start at safety anymore. It was one of my still solid friends.
So you were
my starting spot.
You were a starter initially, but
I was a starter.
Little
And then
friction with the coach.
Little overtime, over a couple of games, I lost my starting spot. I started to get subbed out a little bit more, and then eventually I didn't even start anymore.
Yeah.
And that bothered me. I thought that this was somehow my fault. I didn't really blame it on the school thing because I didn't want to. I kind of blamed it more on myself, which wasn't a very healthy thing to do. But when you're young, you're not.
Yeah. But at least you weren't necessarily pointing fingers at everybody else.
Yeah.
So a little bit of accountability, you know?
So I think I'm just like that overall. I'd rather take blame than blame another person and be like, okay, this is more so my fault rather than this person's fault. Because then I can also fix it usually. Yeah. When it's somebody else doing it, then there's usually like.
But that's like in general, that's a healthy way to do it.
Yeah,
though.
exactly.
To a degree, though. Like you can't be like absolute everything on you and just beat yourself down all the time. Yeah, but in general, like just fucking control the controllables. Like control what you can control, like for real. And I mean that's good from a young age at least.
Going through that, I kind of lost the love for the sport and lost the connection to it, I guess you can say. And then I wanted to quit football and wanted to switch back to soccer. And because football and soccer is in the same time frame, it's both in fall, so you can play one or the other.
Yeah. So you weren't able to play soccer then?
So
for
no,
a couple of years.
I hadn't played soccer since I think it was freshman year. So I did play freshman year, but I played club. I didn't play for the high school. So during high school, I never played soccer for the school. I only played for club because I still loved that. I still wanted to play, but I also wanted to play football.
And then sophomore season ended.
Yep, sophomore season ended.
You were never called up for a varsity or
exactly.
anything?
So our varsity team made playoffs. They were pretty solid. We won the OA Red Championship or title. Okay. So we made playoffs. And when you make playoffs, there's usually like 10 to 20 players that get pulled up from JV. So it's just like for practice squad, give looks, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
to feel,
scout team.
Feel what varsity is going to be like, because most likely you're going to be on it next year.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't get pulled up. There was a lot of other guys that were still backups that did get pulled up.
Okay.
So again, I was like, what did I do wrong? Is it something? Am I just not good enough? Is this sport just not for me? Is this like something that is just it's not made for me? That's kind of what I came to, the conclusion that I came to. I didn't tell anybody at first. Eventually I told my dad, and he was like, are you sure? Like, are you sure you want to make this decision? Because you've played the sport for 4 years now. You've loved it. You've really enjoyed it. You've played every single position. You've enjoyed playing all these positions. Are you sure you just want to give it up because of something that happened that wasn't even you?
That you can't control necessarily, right?
So he kind of gave me a pretty good pep talk to a degree, to kind of keep going with it. Don't just give up. Keep going. See, at least try what it's going to look like. And if you still don't like varsity, because now you have a new coaching staff, you have a new way to do things, all this kind of stuff. So he kind of convinced me to fuck it. One more year.
Yeah,
if it's not it, it's not it.
Yeah.
I'll keep going with my life. It's not to the end of the world.
Yeah.
And junior year into senior year, I fell in love with it again.
Okay.
Huge props to Coach Thomas, my D coordinator.
That was
at
a
the
new
time.
coach, right?
Yeah.
That
So
was
it's my new D coordinator. I'm not gonna lie, my head coach was dog. He didn't do jack shit for us. He was just there. But yeah, my D coordinator, he brought the love of the game back.
Okay.
For me.
And what position? Did you still safety?
So no, I actually switched to linebacker. So I got a little bit too big to play safety. I wasn't fast enough. So I got moved down to linebacker. Yeah. So I was a backup linebacker. And then junior year, our defensive end got hurt. Our starting defensive end got hurt. And Coach Thomas, my D coordinator, told me that I was too good to just not be on the field. I'm making too many plays at practice. I'm causing our starting offense so many issues that I need to be on the field. So he just threw me in at defensive end. I had never played defensive end before. Hand in the dirt.
Hand in the dirt. That was cool. Yeah.
3 point.
Yeah.
Still got the film. But I loved it. Absolutely. I loved playing with my teammates. I loved the team, just the camaraderie that we had.
Yeah.
We had a really good team. We were dominating people. So it was so much fun to play again.
And then in his junior season, you were linebacker at the end.
I just played the end. So
just the end.
So like first half of the season, I didn't play too much. I got subbed in here and there.
Yeah.
And then once he got hurt in the second half of the season, I was a starting D end.
Okay.
So I started hand in the dirt, weighing 170 pounds,
which is like
playing defensive end.
70 kilos, something like that.
Something like that, 70, 75, somewhere around there.
That's pretty light. But how far did your teammate made it? Like,
so we made playoffs again, but then we lost, which was tough, but it happens.
But yeah, it's fun. It's one game season.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of challenging.
And then senior year is really when everything started taking place, and
so when
the ball started rolling.
And so when you got into your senior season, like a training camp, you already knew like I'm one of the dogs on the team now.
Yeah. So it was Isaac Kenny. Still a really good friend of mine. He plays for Michigan Tech University now.
Okay.
He played for the Oilers. I forgot what they're called. But he's also a defensive end. He had number 24. I was number 42.
So
and
opposites.
we both same build, same size, same length, looked exactly the same. We both had a flow out the back. So we were both the exact same player and both wearing 42 and 24. And we would always just flip around. Just have fun with it. Yeah. And yeah, that year, the junior class that came up, my senior year class, we just had so much fun playing ball. Yeah. You never went to practice thinking, God, I have to practice. I have to get through this. No, we were going to practice. Fuck yeah. We're about to have so much fun. We're about to light the offense up. We're going to have fun on defense. We're going to fuck around. All of our breaks was just something super inappropriate or super funny at the end of the practice, where everybody else would look over and be like, "What are you guys doing?" And I'm like, "We're just having fun."
I mean, that's a game.
That really brought the love of the game to me. And that year, playing inside backer, I realized, hey, I can actually play college ball if I really wanted to.
So you were starting to play a little bit inside backer in senior season?
So I fully played inside backer my senior year. And I loved it. I watched so much NFL linebacker film, reading how they played it, seeing everything that they were doing, trying to integrate that into my own game, talking to Isaac, seeing what he's seeing what I'm seeing, and then communicating all that. So really getting into football and what it is, not just playing football.
No, really, actually learning it.
Really doing football and learning it, like you said, and just being around it, kind of making football your thing, not just being a football player, but not being a guy who plays football, but actually being a football player. There you go. That's
the better way to say it. So you said like actually like in senior season, that was the time when you realized like you might be able to play college football, right? So how was that process? Like, were you recruited at all, or like how was the process of finding a college now to play?
So jumping back to junior year. I was seeing that our seniors were getting looks from colleges. And at that point, I was like, I'm not too good. I'm not good enough to kind of get these looks and be called in, because I would have a senior in my class and it would be over a loud announcement, hey, Chris Cade, please come to the office. And everybody's like, ooh. But he's just nah, I got a visit. I got a college visiting me. So that was always super cool to see the older guys, that happening for them.
Yeah.
So then going into senior year, it happened. So it happened after the first game. I got called up. They said, hey, Josh, please come to the office. I was like, what did I do now? Because I wasn't the best student. I wasn't the best kid. I was in a good amount of trouble. So every time that I got called to the office, I'm like, okay, what did I do now? What did they find out now? Now I always thought about like, okay, what did I do? What could they have found out about? And then so I walk in all nervous. And then they're like, hey, we got these guys here for you. I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, hey, it's Oberlin College. They want to talk to you. I'm like,
just unannounced? Just showing up?
Yeah, they didn't tell us. They just showed up. And then they called a couple other guys in as well. And then they talked to all of us together.
And that was Division 2?
That's Division 3. So Oberlin's a Division 3 college. It's not a very good football college. It is a really good academic college.
Okay,
so
one of those.
I actually went to go visit there, and you could literally get. So they have this. This is a fun fact. They have this library of paintings, and you can literally rent out actual Picasso originals. You can rent them out and put that in your dorm. And like you can have that for your semester, and they had like these craziest of paintings and artworks.
They trust their students a lot.
Yeah, it was that type of school. My dad and I looked at their record. They hadn't won a game in 3 years, so we were like, no. I'm sorry, academics can be as good as they want.
But football would
I'm
be nice
still
too.
playing football there, so I'm not going to school for football, but football is going to be part of school, so I want to enjoy it.
So in the end, how many different schools did actually show the interest?
There's a bunch of D3 schools, especially around Michigan, that came
local
in,
area,
that talked to us, that wanted us to visit.
Any higher? Like Division 2?
I would say the biggest school that came to visit me was Valparaiso, which I think that's a D2.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure. And then there's also this private, I don't know if it's Christian, but it was a very religious college down in Florida that flew out 4 of our guys.
Really?
But for me, I'm not very religious. So for me, that wasn't really the place that I wanted to go, because you had to go to church. You had to have a Bible. So there's all these like little things that you needed to do, which just wasn't me. So I didn't go on a visit. It was beautiful. They all said the campus was beautiful. It was down in Florida. So the weather was beautiful. Campus was beautiful. Everything. But yeah, it just wasn't for me.
Okay.
Michigan Tech. I went to a Michigan Tech camp as
D3?
well. That's D2.
D2?
Yep,
Okay.
up in northern Michigan. One of my really good friends, offensive lineman Hunter Chambers, ended up going there. But that's also, I looked at the school. It's a tech school, so it's an engineering type school. So it wasn't really what I was looking into either, because I was going into criminal psychology, so that didn't really match of what I wanted to do professionally either.
But you just said that you don't necessarily like. You still want to play football, but it's not only about the football. So when you were deciding where to go, so did you have an idea what you want to learn or study or?
So I knew I wanted to go into it was either criminal psychology or lawyer. So those two things, I knew I wanted to get into the criminal field of things. I just didn't know
which way to use to get there.
I didn't know how yet. If I wanted to become a lawyer, if I wanted to become some type of psychologist or forensic psychologist that tries to study serial killers and stuff like that. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I just had a rough idea.
But at least you had a pathway, like which doors to work with.
So I knew I didn't want to go to like a Michigan Tech that's a tech school where everything is so technological based, because that's like, it's fun, but it's not just what I want to do for the rest of my life. So that didn't really, what's the word?
It
didn't really get me going. It didn't. It didn't speak to me like it spoke to other people.
No, it's understandable.
Exactly.
So in the end, you found which school?
So Albion College.
Was
the school that I decided at the very end. So it was very central, south central Michigan. So
But still in the same
right
state.
in between.
Yeah.
So like Detroit's on the east side, not west side. Detroit's on the east side, and then Chicago is very far west of Michigan. It's in Illinois, obviously, and it's right in between.
So it's by the border?
2.5 hours. So it's very central Michigan.
Central, okay.
Because Chicago is on the border of like Michigan and Illinois.
Oh,
but
yeah,
it's still in Illinois. So it's 2.5 hours from Chicago and 2.5 hours from Detroit. And it's a 5-hour drive from Detroit to Chicago. So it's literally like dead center of Detroit and Chicago, which has its pros and its cons. A lot of drug trafficking through there. But yeah, so that's what I ultimately decided on. And because coaches. That was my main reason. So I still vividly remember it wasn't a one-on-one, but it was 3 coaches and myself. And they talked to all of us separately. They didn't want to talk to us together because we all had different demands. We all had different things we were looking for when it comes to a sport or to a team. We had different academic wants. We had all these different things that kind of made our decision what we wanted to do.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
So it was nice that they wanted really that one-on-one.
Yeah. So what was the final selling point then? Like
how young they were and the energy that they brought.
Okay.
So it was Coach Sweeney, Tino, and Coach Sheridan. So our DB's coach, special teams coordinator, wide receiver coach, and D coordinator and linebackers coach. And just the way that they came in with the energy, dapping me up, kind of not really yelling, but like being so enthusiastic about talking to me, about wanting
showing
to
you the love, showing you
all this type of things. And then when I went on the visit there, right when I saw the entire coaching staff, right when I met Coach B, my head coach, and he kind of had this rundown of things that he wanted to do in his vision of the team, because this was only his second year.
And did he go into like what would be your role and everything like that too?
A little bit, but it was mostly about kind of what,
like a big picture stuff. Then?
Kind of like what they expect from a player and what they want kind of players to expect from their coaches. And I fell in love with it. Okay. I before I left, I told them I'm coming here. Okay. Because the area was pretty nice. It was a small town, small college, but
typical
very
Division 3.
but very family oriented. Okay. So it was not everything was walking distance. You didn't need a car on campus. All this kind of stuff was there and was for me to use. So I really enjoyed that. And then it was a solid school as well. It was private liberal arts college.
But also that means Division 3 no scholarships, right?
Yeah, so that was kind of tough with that.
But in-state tuition at least, right?
Yeah, it was in-state. So I did get...
Oh, but it's a private though.
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter that much. It's actually... If you come from Cali or Chicago or somewhere else, you're actually paying less than an in-state.
Really? They
tuition.
They want to get those people from outside.
They want the outside states to kind of come in and go to school.
But so you got to Albion? Albion? It's a funny name. But
the Brits.
Yeah, Brits.
The Brits.
At least not Germans, right? So, but last thing from high school, favorite memory? Like from football or in general high school?
All right. So
I've heard a lot of stories, but we don't have to go into all of them. But
all right, this is kind of has to do with football, but also doesn't have to do with football.
Yeah.
So we're at our girlfriend's house, Sierra Living Way. Just threw a party. We're having fun. We're drinking. There's this bridge that's right by our house. We go bridge jumping. We do all this crazy stuff.
Did you throw your shoes in there too, or what?
This time, no. This time I was only in underwear. I jumped in underwear. Good. Still have the video and everything. It was the middle of the night. But we just kept drinking. We kept drinking. Probably you guys know what Adderall is. We took Adderall at like 1 o'clock. Not smart. Because like how the fuck are you gonna sleep?
Yeah,
you're not.
No, you're not gonna sleep anymore.
And then we had a football lift the next morning.
Nice.
So I decided to not go to sleep. I decided to stay up all night, keep drinking beers, and
try not to fall asleep.
My teammate Sam Perillo, who was also my first friend, we played football all the way up until senior year of high school. He also had to go. He was already asleep, though. He got like 3 hours, 4 hours of sleep.
Okay.
And his little brother came to pick us up. And so I was like, don't tell him I'm still drunk. Don't tell him anything. And so we go to the football lift.
Yeah. Morning lift, 6 a.m.
First thing I hear, Joe Cady, you reek like beer. I'm like, are you serious? He's like, yeah. You're just like, I'm just standing behind you. You just reek.
You didn't take a shower or anything before?
I didn't take a shower. I didn't do nothing. I was drinking a beer on the way to the lift. Literally.
No shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I reeked like beer. My mouth smelled like beer. Everything. It was one of the worst lifts I've ever been through.
But
I made it through.
Oh, you made it through?
I made it through.
Without throwing up?
Without throwing up.
Good.
And officially, my coaches never found out. They probably knew.
Yeah.
But they never came up to me and were like, why are you drunk? So I think all that mattered to them, I was there. I did my work.
Fair enough.
I went through it. Yeah, it fucking sucked, but I did it.
You sweat most of it out, hopefully?
Exactly.
Hopefully.
I took the best nap ever after. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, because you didn't get caught. You had the sense of relief.
Yeah, but that showed me never again. If I have a lift in the morning, I am not drinking. I am going to bed at 10, 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I'm waking up in the morning, well rested, ready to lift.
Best way to find out, do it once without it, and you know, like, that's not worth it. It's not worth it.
So I never did that in college. If I would have done that in college, I would have probably been sprinting 500, 600 yards from our coach because he would have not accepted that.
Yeah.
But college is still a different level than high school morning workouts.
Yeah, it is. So, college. So you get there as a freshman. Same rule, everybody has to live in a dorm?
Yeah, so we had that as well.
Yeah.
I was very lucky. My hallway of roommates, was my own roommate was my buddy from high school, Remy Murillo, so I already knew him. Okay. So it was nice. I didn't have a random roommate. I knew him. We kind of already talked of how we're going to set up the room, all this kind of stuff. And then we got really lucky because we had 8 football players in our hallway.
Oh,
so our hallway, we were the
you had
hallway.
fun. Yeah.
We were having a lot of fun freshman year.
Yeah.
We had campus safety call to our hallway multiple times freshman year.
Typical stupid freshman, right?
Yep. Freshman year, Remy and I, we had ducks, Pluto and Jade. Those were our dorm pets.
You had the duck in the dorm?
Yeah. 2 of them. We had this huge tub. We had this little house built for them. We had this little bathroom corner.
Where did you find them? Just took them in from...
We bought them.
Oh, you bought them?
Tractor Supply. We bought 2 ducks. Well, it was actually Remy bought the ducks. He told me.
After they bought him.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck are we going to do with these ducks? And then he convinced me and I was like, fine, we'll just have 2 pets.
So they were inside all the time?
Yeah. So they had inside our dorms. We would take them out here and there, show them to people. And then eventually the college found out. And we got in trouble. They weren't happy. We got a fine.
Actual fine? Okay.
Yeah. And then good thing was it was pretty much at the end of the year, so we only had a couple of weeks left of school.
Good.
So it
didn't affect the football anything either?
Yeah,
because that was
not
done.
at all.
Yeah.
So we kind of took him home to Remy's place. His mom started taking care of him. They
really?
They kind of became his pets.
Okay.
And then they froze to death in the winter.
Oh, shit. That's
because they left him outside.
Michigan.
So eventually they just found him dead in the backyard. But the good thing is they didn't just throw him away.
You
made
got
some nice little duck soup.
Okay. Tell you fucking ducks in your dorm. Okay, nice.
It pulled the ladies. I'm not gonna lie.
Of course.
We would tell all these ladies, hey, we got these cute ducks in our dorm room, and they would just be like, "What? There's no way." I was like, "Yeah, come over.
You can come over and chill with us." Yeah,
exactly.
So, but football-wise, freshman, like, how was there a culture shock too, like compared to like how you trained in college now and all that stuff, or?
Yeah, it was, because in high school, obviously, you couldn't really have these 5 a.m. workouts.
Yeah.
Because you're taking a bus to school, so expecting these young kids to be there at this time period, you can't. But now that you're living on campus, this tiny campus,
they want you to be there as much as possible.
Exactly. So especially camp. I never had a camp like that. We had 2-a-days in high school, obviously, where you practice in the morning, you take lunch, and you practice in the afternoon. But the way that it was set up in college was just another level. So like you would have meetings in the morning, then you would go out, kind of walk through all this plays you just installed, then you would eat lunch, then you would have an actual practice, then you would have meetings again, then you would have maybe another practice depending on how the first practice went.
You could actually you were there. You had actual padded 2-a-days?
Oh yeah, so
you did.
We had full on 2-a-days to a certain extent. So we would sometimes hit the field twice. Freshman year, our camp way harder than all the other years though.
Because I think they changed the rules roughly.
It might have been. We got kind of
because we weren't allowed
soft.
We weren't allowed to have in New Jersey 2-a-days.
Really?
Actually, yeah, it was
interesting.
Yeah, we that's why we had walkthroughs like an hour before the practice, and then we practiced 2.5 hours or whatever.
Yeah,
but it wasn't allowed. Okay. So freshman year, did you play much? How was that?
So I didn't play much because I came in at 170 pounds, 175
so undersized.
pounds. Playing.
You're not that tall
linebacker.
either. Yeah.
No, we had this guy who eventually transferred to Tennessee.
Oh, Division 1?
So, yeah. So he played. He was the starter. His name was not Levi. Levi was our Mike linebacker who played all 5 years. Even. But Donovan Slates, he was our Will linebacker, stud. So I come in. I see this motherfucker. He's got arms as big as my thighs. And I'm like, how am I supposed to play?
Yeah.
Like, I'm playing against full-grown adults. I just turned 17.
Oh, yeah. Plus, you were the younger one, too, right?
Yeah. So I was the younger one. I just turned 17. So I was like, what's happening? I'm supposed to go up against a 6'4", 300-pound offensive lineman? Like, what am I supposed to do against this guy? This guy's 21 years old. He's got a full fucking beard. And I'm
He's
just
ready
here.
to have children now. So
Exactly.
like you're still a child. So
I'm just here, tiny, just don't know what to do.
So so obviously coaches told you that you have to put on weight and everything.
Yeah.
So how was it in your school in Division 3? Like, did you get some sort of meal plans or stuff, like specific amount of calories you had to eat or something like that too? Or was it more on yourself to do that?
It was mostly on yourself.
Okay.
I think because D3,
exactly.
they didn't have the money, they didn't have the resources to kind of hand out to us.
They have a rough idea what you should do.
Exactly.
But it's not the best idea always.
Yep. So they gave me a certain weight to be at. They wanted me to be at around 220.
Okay, that was your goal?
By next season.
So 50 pounds? 22 kilos?
Much. So I made 210, 215 by winter.
Okay.
And
nice.
I came home, and then all my friends from home were like, damn, you got fat. You got a big neck. And I'm like, trying to put on weight. Thanks. So yeah, I got big. I was still working out consistently every single day, but because of the amount of food, it wasn't clean either.
Yeah,
I
course.
was just eating.
You don't know what to do about
exactly.
if you don't have that
eating,
specific help.
Eating, because I wanted to get up to that weight. And my thought process was, once I get to 220, 225, I can turn all my fat into muscle. So that's kind of how I attacked the bulking.
So you went just hard into eat everything, eat, get as big as possible.
Exactly.
Yeah. And sophomore season, you were actually
sophomore season, I was I think 215, 220.
Okay. So that's solid now for Division 3.
A little chubby, felt a little slow. But I was getting to the size that I wanted to get at.
And so did playing time come with it too now in sophomore year, or how was that?
Because our grade above us was so strong and complete, it was hard for our grade to like jump in and start, especially as a freshman and sophomore, because when we were freshmen, our junior and sophomore class were studs. Our senior class wasn't that good. There was like 3-4 starters from our senior class. So it was tough to start freshman and sophomore year because we had all these dogs playing already.
Yeah.
So what we special teams.
Yeah.
And that's when I fell in love with special teams. And even nowadays, here in Potsdam, this is my first ever year that I'm not on a single special teams. And it feels weird.
Right now. We might get there.
But it just feels weird. Because I've always been on a special teams. I've always worked my ass off to get on a special teams. because for us in college, it was a privilege. We saw it as a privilege.
That's opportunity to show coaches actually.
It's an opportunity. It's an extra football play.
Yeah.
You get to hit somebody.
Yeah.
You get to show what you have, all these kind of things. And then most people kind of see special teams as, I'm not good enough to start, so they're throwing me on special teams. Whereas there's 3 levels to football. There's offense, there's defense, and there's special teams. Special teams can change a game. Ball positioning in the game, where you're going to kick the ball to, that can change so much. And I was very lucky with our special teams coordinator. He harped on that ever since I was a freshman. So being on special teams was such a privilege, and it was so cool to be on a special teams, especially kickoff.
Yeah.
We called it free hurt. We literally call it free because we are allowed to hurt somebody for free.
Yeah,
and that's how our coach put it into our head.
Yeah.
So our kickoff unit, we had a fucking screw loose.
Yeah.
Like every single one of us were like, we're about to fucking deliver some pain for free.
Yeah.
So just the way that he taught it, the way he emphasized everything, and how he kind of put special teams on a pedestal, and how important he made special teams
always
sound.
sold it also to the underclassmen,
Exactly.
because
that's
that elevated you in your junior and sophomore season, fucking senior season too, right?
Especially as a freshman, you're like, there's no way I'm starting in front of this fucking 6'2", 235-pound straight muscle, benching 400 pounds. Like, you're like, as a freshman, you're like, I will never get there.
Yeah.
Whereas you're there now, which you never really think of. But as a freshman, you're like, how am I supposed to play?
Yeah.
And then you realize special teams. It's an extra play. It's an extra down.
So
it's still football.
Yeah,
so,
still. Like, you get live reps and everything.
Exactly.
Plus, of course, practices, scout team, everything, all that. That also shows. That's the easiest way to show coaches that you have.
That's also what I took very serious very early on. Was scout. Because our scout team gets our starting team ready for what they're going to face. So if you're half-assing scout, your offense is getting a half-ass look.
Yeah.
Exactly. And our coaches harped on that all the time too. Our scout could, like, he kind of did the scout plays and kind of coached the scout team. He loved me and loved 2 of my close friends, but almost half of the freshman grade hated him because they didn't care. They thought scout was plays off. They thought scout was, I'm not good enough to start. Why am I going to give my all? Whereas a handful of us were like, this is our opportunity.
Exactly.
We get to show what we got.
Exactly.
We get to make our starting offense look bad.
Yes.
And that's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to prove myself.
I think we'll get coaches even more mad when the starting offense is struggling against your fucking scout team. Like, you get noticed.
Especially as a defender, if the offensive coordinator is mad, the defense is doing something right.
Yeah, exactly.
We're doing something right. You know that.
We know it right now, too. We hear it.
Every team is like that.
Yeah, it's always, it's football. Like, that's the 2 sides of football always, and it's fun. Like, you can't let it get too far. No. They still need to be a team, but it's fucking fun competition. So, junior season is now the year when you were getting more reps as a inside linebacker?
Outside linebacker.
So, rush, like a stand-up rusher? Or like
pretty much.
Okay, so pretty much right now what you do? Okay. And how's the team, though? The first 2 years, like, were you a good Division 3 team, or how was that?
The first year, I think we went 7-3 the first year, my freshman year.
That's pretty good.
So it was solid.
But no playoffs.
No playoffs. The next year, my sophomore year, I think we went 8-2. Still didn't make playoffs.
Still no playoffs,
but it was getting better and better. And then my junior year, was it sophomore year? When was COVID? Was COVID sophomore year?
COVID was. I'm not your age, fucker. I'm a bit older than you. But COVID was 2020.
I think it was sophomore year. 2020. Yeah. Okay. So sophomore year.
But
we went freshman. Okay. Before I got there, they went 7-3. When I got there as a freshman, it was 8-2.
2020 got canceled, but you played some games, right?
Yeah, COVID year hits. We went undefeated in COVID year.
But how many games?
I think we played 4 games.
4-0. But it's asterisk, right?
We were supposed to have 7 games.
Okay.
3 other teams backed out.
Okay.
Pussies. We kind of took it as they were scared to actually play us.
Okay.
So we didn't see it as a Mickey Mouse ring, whereas our rivals who backed out,
Okay.
they saw it as a Mickey Mouse ring, and they kept saying, "Oh, Mickey Mouse ring, this isn't a real ring. You guys didn't earn it. All this blah blah blah." When in reality, we went through this COVID bullshit. We got tested every day just so we can play these games. So in reality, we actually did extra to get this ring. We didn't just kind of let things go. And then junior year, we had a couple of fifth years come back, a couple solid ones, and then the senior class was a bunch of dogs.
So that was the
So it was
the grade above you that you already mentioned, like they're fucking dogs.
Our grade and the grade above us two together, we kind of created this new Albion culture and this new Albion team with the way that we played, the way that we bought into the culture, the Albion way. That's what our coach preached to us. That was like the ground foundation of our culture was the Albion way. And it had 5 separate like rules and kind of things to live your life by that we kind of harped on every single day.
That was the ones you told me, like you had on in your locker rooms,
Exactly.
like those, like everybody saw it all the time and all that stuff. Yeah, that's a cool thing about, like, I had something similar, and like we had like in our locker rooms, like we had like a previous like really good players, like retired jersey numbers and stuff like that.
True.
That the culture, like that's like. Football locker room is fucking fascinating.
Yeah,
that's a fucking rabbit hole within itself. Like what happens there, and but it's like a melting pot of fucking cultures and shit like that, right? So that's like a pretty cool place. Okay, so 2021 was your junior season. That was I just looked up the bracket. So you made it to playoffs, undefeated.
Yep.
And
We lost to Wisconsin lacrosse, University of Wisconsin lacrosse. So they were pretty good.
yeah, it was 58-23. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first half, they bent us over. Can't even lie.
Okay.
The second half, we got close. As in, like, if you just take the second half score, I think they were up like a point or two.
Okay.
I don't fully remember it, but going undefeated into that.
But you won at least your
hopes were
conference too, right? So you won your conference.
Yeah.
Did
So
you get a ring or banner? Oh, you
so
got a
we
ring
got
too? Okay.
MIAA rings.
Okay.
So I have 2 of them. One from the COVID year.
COVID year?
And
Okay.
then one from
Junior season.
Junior season.
It's funny, Muhlenberg, that's where Thomas and Curtis is buried.
They're solid.
They won their division. They made it to playoffs 21 too. Yeah, Salisbury was our conference winner, so we were shit 2021. But yeah, they got beat in the first round too by John Hopkins, of course.
Yeah, John Hopkins.
Yeah, that's
a good
crazy.
ass team.
Yeah, I just pulled it up for sure just to see, because I've heard of Albion before for some reason. I don't know why.
So they won the national championship in 1994,
Oh, okay.
96, something like that.
Okay.
They won the national championships.
Okay.
So they do have a history of being
football?
good.
Yeah, okay.
But before my coaches got there and kind of my grade and the year before that grade, they were really bad.
Okay.
So I think they were like 3 and something, 2 and something, and then our coaches really turned that entire organization around again, and gave it that culture that it kind of was based on. But yeah, we just got the game. We got dominated in the playoffs. They were bigger. They were stronger. Especially we had a couple people hurt that didn't help because they were even weaker, even less athletic than our starters. So we just weren't prepared. It was a better team.
But-
it was more dominating.
So what happened the next year?
So
Your senior season.
we really harped on get bigger, get stronger, get faster, which is like, yeah, obviously.
No
but
shit.
we really focused on that, especially with our strength and conditioning coach. He harped on that as well. He kind of got us ready for the
But
next season.
now you lost that senior class. That was really good, right?
But we didn't.
You didn't.
Because a lot of them, the only person that we really lost was Donovan, who went to Tennessee.
Yeah.
They came back for their 5th year.
COVID year.
Because because our team was so good and so like tight knit.
Yeah.
The year before when we made the playoffs, we're like, we can be even better.
Yeah.
We can make a run in playoffs.
Yeah.
We can come back, go undefeated again, and make that run that should have happened last year.
Yeah.
Because we all came back bigger, we all came back stronger, we all came back hungrier.
Yeah.
So them all coming back my senior year, we had a really good team.
Okay.
Went 8-0, and then 9-0, 8-0. I think it was 8-0.
Uh-huh.
And then last game we lost against Alma.
So that was a conference game. So that was winner takes it all.
Winner takes it all.
Yeah.
Alma was 8-0. We were 8-0. Our starting quarterback was hurt. We had our backup quarterback in, who was good. I can't take anything away from him. He was a good player. I would say just a little bit too young. He didn't have the experience that Jack, our starting quarterback, who was a fifth year, had. So
that's tough.
Kind of having him taken out from that game was a little hard. And then we just got outplayed. We were the better team. We were the stronger, more physical, more athletic team. We just got, I hate to say it, to a certain degree, we got outcoached and we got outplayed. We didn't play our best game. And might even say we played our worst game in the past 2 years, and they played their best game. Freshman quarterback, freshman running back.
Really?
So they were young.
Okay.
What they were really strong was their defense. Their defense was a bunch of studs.
And that's where your guys were a little bit not lacking, but you already had a backup quarterback.
Our quarterback wasn't fully healthy.
Okay.
There was a couple banged up people on all lines, so
And
it wasn't.
That's football there, and season is over.
Exactly. And,
That's it.
So we still had hopes and dreams to make it to the playoffs.
Well, how do they actually do it? You know, like if you don't win the conference, like based on what do they put the rest of the teams in?
I don't know.
It's like a fucking AP.
We were livid because we watched it, and
that's a lie, right? Live announcement.
So we
right?
watched it live. We knew Elma was gonna get in, and then we watched a couple other teams get in that were 7-3,
really
8-2, and they didn't win their conference. It was
so it has to be the base
second place, but
strength of schedule or some shit like
we
that.
We looked at their schedule as well. They had just some shit schedule. They didn't even have a good schedule. They would play one good team. And we had a way harder schedule than they had. Like, Hope was, I think, top 15 ranked in NCAA. Alma was ranked top 15 when we played them. We were ranked top 15 when we played them. I think Trine was ranked top 30 when we played Trine. So we had all these, like, top 20, top 30 ranked teams that we played. But we didn't make it in because of that singular loss. That was really tough because we had such a strong team and we had such depth too, especially on defense, that even if somebody got hurt, we had a backup to throw in. And like most teams, you see like you have the starters and you have the backup, and the level usually drops a good amount.
Yeah,
we were so deep and we had so many good players on our team that it didn't drop off very much.
Okay, and ask Florida State just about the getting left out of playoffs. Like, nobody fucking knows how the process works, actually. Like, there is some sort of algorithm and stuff. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but yeah, that's football. Like, it's a beauty and a curse. You have one game, and that's it.
I think Alma won 2 playoffs games.
Oh, really? They actually won game?
Yeah, if you want to look it up real quick. They won. The first team that they played against wasn't that good.
Okay.
The second team they played against, I think that was a surprise that they beat them. And then I think they lost to like Whitewater or North Central.
Oh, yeah, one of the big dogs.
Like one of those schools that's
D3
like, you're not even
schools.
D3. You just have fucking D1 dropouts that go to your school and fucking ball out.
G3 playoffs 2022. That's 2022.
2022, 2023. Yeah,
yes. Yeah. That's always that one. So you were on this side. That was... Wait.
Yeah, that was tough watching that live. We were just hoping. We were hoping the entire time. And then once the last team got called...
What was the team?
Tough.
Alma. Yeah, they won one game and then they lost to Aurora.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they only won the first game.
But still, more than you guys did year before. And
yeah.
That stings.
And I would say we were a way better team than them. I think we could have beat Aurora as well with the team that we had, because Jack would have been back the first playoff game.
Was it that? That was. That's
again,
like that's the woulda, coulda, shoulda. Like that's like you can't fucking. It is what it is.
Exactly.
Like,
so all of us senior year, we were so pissed off that it happened. We all said we're coming back. We're coming back for a fifth year. We're running this back.
So what happened?
Our coaches left. So the entire coaching staff went to Northwood,
which is a bigger school.
It's a D2 school.
So it was an upgrade for them too.
It was to an extent though, because Northwood was a shit D2 school. They've won
okay,
like
okay.
1 to 2 games in their last 3 years.
Okay.
So they're really bad. But our coaches were kind of coming into a same situation that they went into when they came into Albion. Albion was kind of
starting from bottom and trying to build it up, right?
Albion was like at the bottom of the pack, and then they kind of had to bring them back up. And their really good strength is recruiting. So our coaches recruit super well and super actively. They're always on your ass. Like when I got recruited by Albion, Coach Sweeney would always text me. He's like, "Hey, how are you doing? You doing good? Have you made a decision? What's your process looking like?" All this. So he's on your ass the entire time, talking to you, making sure you're good.
I mean, that's college football right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he was really wanted to make sure that you're good and that you were taken care of.
And that's pretty good feeling, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So that
when there's a coach that does that to you, you're like, okay, this guy really wants me to come. This guy really wants me to be there. You are welcomed. Yeah. Exactly.
So they left, and then it was a done deal that you're, fuck it, I'm done with school then?
Not fully yet. So I didn't fully start my senior year. I was like a half start. I started some games. I didn't start some games. I would get subbed in, all this kind of stuff. So there was some difficulty. And there was this pass down group that I knew I should have been a part of.
What do you mean? What's a pass down group?
Just how we have airborne.
Oh, a pass down group. Like like a pass rush one?
A pass, yeah.
Yeah.
That we would sub in, and I knew I should have been on that because I was the best pass rusher on our team. And we had this D lineman in there who was slow as fuck, soft as fuck. He was just tall and big, and it's the body that got in the way. So I knew I should have been in instead of him, and we should have bumped our 1D end in. And
inside,
I could have been D end on the outside, and our pass rush would have been 10 times better. And throughout the year, I was kind of telling my coach, hey, what can I do to get this spot? What do I need to do better? Do I need to know the plays better? Do I need to play better? Does my pass rush need to be better? Like, what do I need to do to get this? And he told me nothing. Like, I should have that spot. But throughout the year, nothing happened. And I was just getting more and more frustrated, thinking about, like, this should be my spot. He's not doing it right. All this kind of things, which is it's a little selfish to a certain extent. But I knew that I could have done a better job if I just got the opportunity to do it. And
so when the coaches left, so was there an idea, so maybe new coaching staff and
the new coaching staff that came in, I already knew I didn't want to be a part of that.
Really? Okay.
Because they weren't close to what my coaching staff was, the energy that they had, the system that they brought with them. It was nothing like it. So I knew that I wasn't going to play at Albion for another coach.
Okay.
What did happen is they wanted me to come to Northwood with them.
Okay.
So I was thinking about doing that.
Transfer?
Yeah. But my biggest thing then was that the communication my senior year wasn't right.
Between you and the coaches?
Between me and the coaches and what they wanted to see - what I wanted to see.
So that's what you just
my
talked
position
about,
coach not standing up for me and them saying that this is all the D-line coach's decision, and for some reason the D-line coach didn't really like me. I don't know.
Okay.
And so I had a pretty big issue with that there wasn't that communication from the coach down.
Yeah.
But I did want to keep playing for them because of how good of just a football coach he was. Like, you can get better
as a culture part. And stuff. Yeah.
You can get better at communication. You can get better at all this. But football IQ, the way that you see, read, know, and understand football, that can't be taught to a certain degree. You can read about and all this, but like really loving football and living football,
it's a different thing.
It's different. And my D coordinator, he lived football.
Okay.
He would fall asleep watching film. So he would get in the offense at 6 a.m. and not leave until 9, even though he has a fucking child and wife at home.
Yeah. Those are football guys.
He loved football.
Yeah,
he was the football guy.
Okay.
So I really did enjoy playing for him because his scheme was so good and super enjoyable to be in.
But
with the communication part to the side, I would have been going into my 5th year. I already had my bachelor's degree.
So you would have had to take a master's classes, yeah.
And I would have, but the problem is they didn't have anything in psychology or criminal or anything
so
like
you
that.
should have had to take like bullshit classes just to play football.
So
and pay
I would have That was my biggest thing.
Yeah.
Then I would literally be paying thousands and thousands of dollars to not get a master's degree and
But just
only
to
play
play.
football.
But I had teammates who did it too.
Yeah.
Because of 2020 got cancelled. They missed a year and they
Yep.
wanted to play extra year. They paid, like literally, they were in school just to be in school and play football, which is so fucking stupid. But
Yep.
I understand when it's
We had
where
a
it's
couple
coming
fifth
from.
years to do
Yeah.
did that as well.
Yeah.
And then like one guy, he literally just took 2 gym classes.
Mm-hmm.
So he needed to take 2 credits to be like enrolled in the school. So he had 2 gym classes, had a job, and just played football.
I mean, we had we had 1 credit course that made you a full-time student.
Yeah.
So that those were meant for people who were just finishing their thesis. I didn't take a single fucking class in my fall because I was supposed to graduate a year before too. But COVID came. It's like I want to play college football too, so I'm gonna stay a
you
year.
just did that?
Yeah, like literally, I had to do still my research and stuff in the lab. So I was pretty much working for school, but I didn't take any classes either. So that's like.
That's
But,
nice.
but the idea itself is stupid. Like, why? But you still have to pay for it, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah, that's a money machine. Like, but that's college, you know.
Yep.
So, but in junior season, were you a full-time starter or no? You were in and out.
Junior year, I was in and out. It was
In and out,
very in and out.
And senior was a better, but still like.
Still more in and out.
Okay.
So this was my biggest issue when it came to senior year. Junior year, I was a starter in the pass formation. When it was third and long. I started. It was my spot.
Yeah.
And then senior year, I lost it. And I asked them why. Like, what is the reason? And I never got an answer to that.
Yeah, that's a bad communication.
So that's when I always
Yeah.
went back and I was like, okay, what
fair
can I do
enough.
better? What can I work on? What do I need to do to get this spot back? Because this is my this is my spot.
I didn't do anything to lose it.
Exactly.
Like what happened?
Exactly.
Did they bring in any fucking Division 1 dropouts? Or?
Nothing.
Huh, interesting.
Nothing.
Same coach too?
Yeah.
Huh.
So I was told that it was up to the defensive line coach to take his players out and makes room for an outside linebacker. Because we were outside linebackers. It was like a D line.
You weren't the D line,
Exactly.
so you were okay. Now I know. Okay, great. So you weren't one of his guys.
Pretty much.
That was the issue.
Pretty much.
Probably. Okay.
And he was an old head. He was on the national championship squad that won the national championship.
Like he's been there for
So
as a player or as a coach?
As a player, he was there as a player.
Okay.
And now he's a coach.
OG, yeah, kinda.
So I don't. He's a very grumpy guy. I don't know.
I mean, yeah,
don't
it
know
is
what
what
his
it
issue
is.
was.
Like, what
he
you
had
gonna
certain
do?
kids that he liked, and he had certain dudes. That
I mean,
he did
everybody
not
has that though. Like you see it with
Exactly.
every fucking coach. Like everybody has their favorites and stuff like that. I mean, the reason why I played so much in a row when I was a fucking foreigner, old ass motherfucker is like because I like to coach liked me. So like I'm not gonna lie, like I wasn't necessarily the best one, but like it does help. So I understand.
Sure.
Like it is, it's a connection. It's still like a fucking like somebody will be left out. So it sucks, but it is what it is. So you were thinking hard going to the 5th year.
Yeah.
But then 2022. You get your bachelor's in criminal science, psychology,
arts,
criminal.
Bachelor of Arts,
Bachelor of Arts in what?
in psychology.
Psychology.
Just psychology. Because it's a liberal arts college, they didn't have the.
But like from there,
majors.
you can go wherever you want to go.
Yep.
So, but from all the football and stuff, funnest memory in college. You have like, what did you throw to the river now? Shoes, a helmet, a D-line coach. What the fuck did you throw to? You have like one memory or something like. It doesn't even have to be called football. Like whatever.
I would say it's just my fondest and favorite memory would be our game
Ducks.
against Wisconsin. No, not anymore. But it would probably be our game against Wisconsin Eau Claire. That's the first game where I started the entire game, and I was MIAA Player of the Week.
Ah, really?
And
okay.
that's the first game that I fully started every single snap at, and it was the last game I started every single snap at.
As a junior?
As a senior.
Senior,
Even
okay.
though I won MIAA Player of the Week.
Interesting.
And I didn't get more playing time after that. It was still the same. And that shit really bothered me.
Okay.
But the game itself, so much fun. Because there's also
Is it a big stadium? Was it like
it was bigger.
Okay.
But the thing that made it so much fun and made the environment so great was they had a like 300 or 400 man marching band. And the marching band was right behind the away.
Your bench. Yeah.
So they were yelling stuff all game.
And you won?
Playing loud. Yep. Close game. And we won it. They were playing super loud music the entire time. The fans, great.
And then you walk off the field, it's fucking quiet. That's the best fucking feeling, you know. Like literally, for me, there isn't the best feeling when you go to somebody's house and you beat them. That you see, hear the fucking silence, and they're like, that's the best fucking feeling in the world. Yeah.
There's also, I still remember it. There's one hillbilly looking fan, big beard, long hair, just like straight up American. Like if you think of an American hillbilly, that was him. Who started yelling shit. And you've noticed I like to talk when I play football. Really? I like to yell when I play football.
I've been here for 5 weeks with you. That motherfucker does not stay quiet.
So I start talking back to him into the stands. And we just have this back and forth conversation. We're just yelling at each other. Eventually the ref comes up to me. He's like, okay, chill out.
Really? The ref actually came?
So that environment playing there was just so much fun. It was the loudest environment I've ever played in because the marching band was just playing nonstop. And if you have 300 fucking instruments playing at the same time,
behind you
that gets really loud.
Okay.
But it was so enjoyable. I love playing in those type of environments. Loud, hostile environments is where I thrive. That's where I play best in.
It is fucking cool.
Yeah.
Cool. And as surprising it might sound to some who haven't played like in top level in Europe, that shit is here too.
Oh yeah,
being in Schwäbisch last year, week 1, holy motherfucker, that shit is different.
Especially those noise.
Yeah. Those things like it's cracking. Yeah.
Those things, I don't even know what they're called. Yeah. They swing in their hands. And some dudes bring these trumpets. Yep. Especially, have you played in Allgäu?
No, we're gonna go there this year.
Yeah. They all have these fucking weird thingies.
Yeah.
It gets so annoying, but I love it.
But that's the point.
So loud. That's the point. It's supposed to get annoying. It's supposed to throw off the other team.
So you're done with college. You got your degree. You're a bit exception because you're a German. And that kind of is an advantage in Europe, especially if you played college football. So did you know about European like professional football or did you have idea already at the senior season that you want to continue playing somewhere else, or how did that work?
So I did want to do a 5th year. So I wanted to play a 5th year in college. That was my plan. And then I realized that there was overseas, and I didn't know much about it. I didn't know of the GFL. I didn't know of the ELF until I started doing my research. Then I found out about Euro players. I got an account in Euro players. I got signed up in Euro players. And this was all in like March
of 2023.
Yeah. So it was pretty late.
Yeah, it's pretty late.
It.
Yeah.
So most teams already had their players that they wanted for the year.
Plus, nobody could really recruit you either because I'm pretty hard to find you probably.
Exactly.
Because
nobody really knew of me besides kind of Euro players.
Yeah. Plus, it's hard to see if you're actually full German. You have a German passport. Exactly. It doesn't say anything there unless you put it onto like Euro players or something like that. So you make your account there, and that's where you start getting some connections and stuff.
When I first found out about the GFL, I realized how big it was, and I started like personally emailing GFL teams and ELF teams.
Okay, but ELF pretty quickly found out you would be an A.
So I actually didn't get anything back from the ELF until I created my Euro Players account, and then Coach Newman contacted me from the Surge. And he talked to me about how he was coach last year at Schwäbisch Hall. Now he's going to the Surge.
Beat Potsdam in the final.
Exactly. So he was talking to me about the opportunity coming out. And we got pretty far along in the conversation until he asked me where I officially started playing football.
Okay.
So I told him I started playing football in the States, and that's the issue. That in the ELF, where do you start playing football? It's not where are you from, where are you born, all
so
this
you
kind of stuff.
Let's say you're a foreigner, you accidentally were an exchange student. You say, I want to try American football, but you just half-ass it, and then you come back to home, and then you actually become really good. Serious. But then you count as a fucking A.
Yeah, which
I mean,
it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
They want to keep out the double passport people, but then it kind of fucks over people like me, who I was born in Munich, I was raised in Munich, I'm 100% German. But I'm not allowed to play for my home team.
Yes, but you went through all the high school and college football, so that's kind of different. I get that part, but yeah, it's. I mean, they're making those rules pretty strict now because they want to avoid for some reason those. But in a GFL, you're still super valuable because you have a German passport. You still don't have even an American passport, right?
Not yet, no.
You lived half of your life in the US.
So I only have my green card in the US.
So Newman with Surge with ELF didn't go anywhere last year.
No, so
because you would have been an A, right?
Yeah, I would have been an A, and he was talking to me about is like, did you play anywhere, anyhow in Germany? And I was like, nah, that's the problem. Not really. There's like some team, no, not really teams, but some club type things that I tried with, or like when I went back to visit, I played a little bit, but the problem is I didn't really play full organized
official football, right?
Organized football in Germany before I played organized football in the States. That was the biggest issue, the organized part of it. It's not organized football when you're just throwing a football around.
So just so people, like some people might not know, but in Europe, like every league, you have only a limited amount of Americans you can have, so that's they are called A's, and even in GFL you can have 2 on a field at the same time. You can have 6 on a team. ELF has 4 on a roster, I think now. You can have 4 A's and 2 on a field at the same. I'm guessing 2 on probably would make sense, and so that's why like it's super important to be not the A. You're more valuable if you played in college.
Exactly,
you're more valuable as a E than European import, whatever. So that didn't work out. So GFL wise, because like. In top leagues in Europe, ELF, GFL, and then you can go to the next ones, right? Yeah. So GFL was the next option, who showed interest?
So I talked to Straubing.
Spiders?
I talked to Razorbacks. I talked to Allgäu.
All the South teams?
All the South teams contacted
me. You're from South, so why the fuck not?
I don't think I got contacted by any team from the North. My first year.
Wasn't New Yorker? No.
No, so that was after last year. That was after,
okay.
So, I think the Rebels might have sent me. I think the Rebels head coach sent me a message, but that was after I already signed for Saarland.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think he did contact me. But yeah, it was already too late. But the main 3 teams that I was going to decide of was Razorbacks, Comets, and Hurricanes. So those 3 teams were like the main 3 teams that kept in contact with me, that gave me the best offer when it came to contract and all these other things. And the one special thing that I wanted to do, I wanted to keep my NCAA eligibility. So the only way I was going to be able to do that if I wasn't getting paid as an athlete.
Yeah.
So you come over here, you're going to get paid if you're an
You're going to be a professional.
Yeah, exactly. You count as a professional. So what Saarland did, which was super cool, they kind of gave me 2 separate contracts. One contract was player's contract, where I then, you get the housing, you get travel, you get a car. So you get these incentives to play, but this doesn't make you a professional athlete yet.
So because
you're not making the money. You're not getting physical pay.
Yeah.
And then my second contract was a coach's contract. So I was getting paid as a coach, not as a player. So I really liked that they were able to do that for me.
There
and
are loopholes
give me that extra year of eligibility.
Just in case
I did want to rethrow my film into the NCAA portal and see what kind of things came out. Or even if I wanted to go back to my coaches at Northwood and go back and play for them, if that was an option.
That's
so I just wanted to keep that open. And they made that work for me, and they had the right contract for me, so I decided to go with them.
Saarland Hurricanes, that's a West Germany, right? Close to France.
Yeah, so it's very southwestish. It's pretty much, it's on the border of France, right there.
Luxembourg, close to Luxembourg too.
Close to Luxembourg as well, exactly.
So when you, so you get there as a professional. I always have to put quotation marks because if I tell my friends or some people just don't know, it's like, I'm a professional athlete.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I'm not fucking rich or some shit like that. Like it's I mean, it is professional, but
yes, I'm getting paid to play.
Yeah. But it's not like
I'm not making 15K a week
Yes.
to play football.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Unfortunately, yeah. So
If I did, I'd live a different type of life.
Oh yeah, you think so? That would be a pretty good life, yeah. But so you come here to Saarland as a import now. Actually, you get paid for it. What you got? You got salary, free food too on certain days,
we
right?
had Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We had lunch for free, but only for 6 people.
And you had to decide
We
who's
had
those
8
six
imports.
people.
Yeah, we had 8 imports. So what we actually did most of the time, we still all went together, and then we just split those two.
So bills.
Those two
Yeah,
meals.
yeah, makes sense.
So it always came out to be like €2 to €3 per person,
Yeah, that's
which
nothing.
wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
So you're pretty much paying $2-3
Makes sense.
for an entire plate of food. So it wasn't nothing too bad.
You got like saunas on Mondays, right? Or
Yeah,
spa.
so we had this sauna. They had these sauna classes. In Germany called Aufguss. They had these Aufguss classes where they had like spearmint and lemon and all these different.
You go to different
scents
saunas and
flavors and all this kind of
yeah,
stuff.
the beading is in there too, right?
They have these big leaves and plants and waves where it was like it's the second to last or third to last one. It was like 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
It was one big session but cut into 2 smaller ones because the first one didn't get too hot. Then you went outside. You had ice. You got to cool off a little bit.
Yep.
And then you went back in, and that's when it got really hot. And the first time, one of our offensive linemen, he didn't know this. He was putting his head down to kind of protect himself from the sauna and the heat and everything. And this guy who was doing the class, he just started smacking him with the leaves.
Yep.
And he was like, "What the fuck?" He was like, he didn't know what was going on. And then
That's a culture shock.
After we had to explain to him, I was like,
that's normal.
in this class, when you put your head down like that, it means you want to get hit on the back with the leaves. And he was like, "I didn't know that." It was pretty funny, but it was very good for recovery wise.
Yeah.
They also had a pool there, which was a little awkward because everybody was naked.
That's
so
the
like
difference.
everybody would jump in that pool naked, so
Yeah.
everybody's just naked in the pool swimming around. So we're like a little off. But
That's true, but that's
it got
even
normal eventually.
That's weird even for Estonian. Like we have a pretty nice sauna culture too and stuff, but when you go to spa, everybody's naked.
Just walking around.
That's pretty interesting.
Everything's hanging out.
Yeah.
But it was super nice for recovery because then you just got to swim there, your muscles, everything. It was super nice. And we also got a car, which is pretty nice because the public transport isn't as good as here.
Yeah, and the apartments were 3-bedroom ones or how many? Like,
Also 3 bedrooms.
So
it was pretty similar as here. I wouldn't say it was a little older. So I would say my apartment here is a little bit nicer overall. The view isn't as nice. We were on the 14th floor in Zala,
I've seen the pictures. Fuck that.
I had a beautiful view.
Look at that view. I'm not going to turn the camera, but just look at that shit. Like there's another fucking apartment
I
building.
get to watch people cook. That's what
I've seen some interesting stuff too. There, like
But yeah, so the apartment it was nice. Like, it was livable. It wasn't anything bad.
But then when you came here, so let's talk about culture shock again because it happens. So you're a German, you know what Germany is, right? Okay, you're now on the other side of Germany, but you know what Germany is and everything. Like you've been here, did you come over to visit your grandparents in summers too, like when you were in high school and stuff, right?
So we try to go once a year.
Once a year, yeah.
Either our grandparents try to come over to the States or we try to go over to Germany.
Okay, so there was a connection. So you weren't cut off, so you knew. So that's not a culture shock. But now, coming from college football into professional football, how was that in Saarland? Like,
so it was different. I was expecting something else.
Was it okay?
It wasn't as professional as I wanted it to be. Like I knew that it wasn't gonna be
fully
NFL,
professional,
CFL,
because your local players are still working. They're fucking full-time jobs and everything, right?
So I knew it wasn't gonna be like fully professional. But there were some things and some issues that arose that kind of showed
unexpected.
Showed me that okay, this is not even close to as professional as what I would like it to be. Like it was very unorganized. People got to choose and decide if they wanted to be at practice or not.
Okay.
It wasn't like here how we have to spin the wheel when you miss practice or you don't have an actual reason. Like there, if you miss practice, you just miss practice. Nobody cared.
No, it's really no accountability.
Yeah, we would have 4 offensive linemen. Then a defensive lineman would have to play offensive line to give our defense a good look, or even to play our starting offense.
Yeah.
We had a defensive lineman go in there so our offense could actually function correctly.
Shortage of players too, or
shortage of players. Money issues never arose, so the money was pretty good.
Yeah, that's good. But just players, just like on average, like roughly like 30 players in practices, or more like 25. Something like that.
20 to 25.
20 to 25, yeah.
Yeah, it was very tough. It was very small amounts.
That's pretty interesting for you, because you're coming from college and high school where you've always had
110.
Yeah. Like for me, that's normal. Like in the story, that's normal. Okay, so what can we do today? So we have that many guys, that many. So okay, change the plans. Let's do that now. But but it's funny to think it's even the issue in freaking highest level in Germany, like local team, local league. So, but it's American football, and it's Saarland is what's the freaking town name? So Saarbrücken, yeah. Like, I mean, it's not a big town either, right? So
yeah, I think it's almost the same size as Potsdam.
Okay,
but not as wide. Like, not as, it doesn't have that big of an area. It's more kind of condensed into one.
Okay. Plus, you're a little further from Frankfurt and those big cities. Like, we are right next to Berlin, so we can still have Berlin guys come to play to us and so forth.
So the biggest issue was that, a lot of, especially Saarland players, especially starters and good Saarland players, they all went to the ELF. So
yeah, that was a Galaxy, right? Galaxy's there, yeah.
Galaxy, fullback, wide receivers, offensive linemen, D linemen, anybody who was good enough to play in the ELF left. Okay. And that was the Giovanni brothers, who play for Surge now, I believe. It was I can only remember his Instagram name, Big Fudge.
Good one though.
He was a fullback for the Galaxy and now plays for the Surge.
Okay.
He was a stud. They had an offensive lineman, Ole Krebs, who is super young, who plays for, I forgot who he plays for, maybe Sea Devils? I'm not 100% sure. They had another offensive lineman who left for the Surge. They had their starting American safety
that's the story of most of the GFL teams.
So it's a lot, especially from Saarland. They took a lot of their starters and main guys that went to the ELF.
But regardless of that, all the freaking personnel issues and stuff, you guys made it to the playoffs. Number 3 seed, the South, right? So, and you fucking beat Dresden in the regular season. Like, that was a pretty good win, right?
So, Schwäbisch Hall.
Didn't
beat Dresden.
Yeah,
we lost to Dresden twice, sadly.
Twice, Schwäbisch Hall.
Schwäbisch Hall, yeah. It was the first Southern team in like 10 years to beat Schwäbisch Hall.
Yeah, so that was like a huge upset. And then in playoffs, first round, you went to Dresden, right? And yeah, I watched that game. That was freaking close. Yeah. Surprisingly close, let's put it that way, because Dresden was favorite.
Up for a good amount of the time. Yeah. What I was telling our defenders, fuck up number 16. If you can hit him. Because
he had a neck injury too, by the way.
I think it was a neck or back.
Back, yeah. I think he didn't play against us.
It was a bad back injury, and like
good dude though, like fucking great receiver.
Yeah. He was really stud, straight up stud. I don't like hurting people or having people hurt. That's the worst that can happen to a football player. Yeah. But if you're already prone to getting hurt and you're gonna play and put yourself on the line, I'm gonna try to take advantage of it. And especially
if you're an underdog. Yeah.
Exactly. And if you're the one guy that's gonna fucking beat us, because no other Tommy Wilson is not gonna beat us. That motherfucker doesn't even know how to catch a ball. He goes,
he's fast though.
No offense, he's super fast.
Yeah, he's fast.
He's an athlete.
Yeah,
hand-eye coordination can get a lot better. I like Pedro, even though his hand-eye coordination can also get a little bit better.
Yeah, little biased,
but he's also still pretty young. Yeah, so he has a lot of years to learn. Yeah. And what was actually really funny, I just found out that Robbie, my QB last year, was actually Pedro's quarterback in college.
This year? This offseason, no?
I think it was last year.
Last year?
Yeah, that's they actually played together, which I'll have to talk to Pedro about it because Robbie was a great dude.
Yeah.
I would have to say that he would be the main reason why we made playoffs last year.
Yeah, he was.
He was our running back and quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
Because Tom got hurt.
Yeah, Tom got hurt.
After the 4th game?
And he didn't
It was
play the
pretty
rest of the
early.
season.
Yeah, it was pretty
Okay.
early because then he had to get surgery.
Yeah.
And then his knee started locking up again. Then he had to get
too.
surgery
Yeah,
again.
he was a shitty
so
one.
it was pretty tough. It was a tough situation for him.
Yeah.
But Robbie he just took over.
The
He
playoff
was just
game,
a natural.
Playoff game was all. He made some throws, and I mean the receivers caught them too. So hats off. And the O-line block. Your left tackle was not big enough.
Still the same.
Yes,
he's still the same left tackle. Even this year, didn't get much bigger. Same size, huge heart.
Yeah, no,
but
after a point there will be physical limitation. Like trust me, I know too. Like if you see like a big O lineman, after a while you can only do so much.
Yeah. But what we were pretty lucky with, and we got blessed with in Zaaland was our wide receivers.
Oh yeah.
So we
All
had
the
a
local guys,
very
right?
good. We have, I would say, honestly, the best German core wide receiver.
Okay.
Wide receiver core. I don't think there's any other team that has German wide, not European, not Americans, has German wide receivers like we did last year.
We didn't have a single one in the starting.
Yeah.
I think we had all foreigners last year. I think like that.
So we had Marvin, stud, super fast, crisp routes, catch the ball. Manny, he'll go up and catch anything. The problem is both of them kind of pulled their hammies a little bit. I'm excited to see if they're going to play this week or not, because they're both still there. Then we had Jan Peach, who was older guy. He went through the youth in Zaaland, won the youth German Bowl with Zaaland.
Okay.
I forgot what it was called. So he's been there for a while now. He left, sadly. He went to the Surge. So they lost him, which was a pretty big.
He's a captain too, probably.
Yeah. So he was he was like the offensive captain because he's the old guy in the offense.
The OG.
Exactly. He's like Ruben. Kind of reminds me of him, just on offense.
Yeah, okay.
So like he's the vocal leader. He's the kind of guy that will help everybody out. He's the type of guy that'll kind of make the Americans feel at home, and if they need anything, he'll go out of his way to help them out. All this kind of stuff. Marcel, who is on the German national team, he's a speedster.
Okay.
The problem was he was hurt all last year. I think he tore one of his ACLs or MCLs or something like that.
That's kind of bad.
But the problem is he also is at the Surge now.
Oh, he left too. Okay.
So it was a bunch of stud wide German wide receivers.
That already shows that they were good because
Yeah.
ELF wants them and there's local guys. So yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
that makes
those
sense.
two guys left, which was a pretty big loss for us. But they still have Marvin and Manny, who are both pretty good, pretty damn good.
I'm just
wide
saying
receivers.
you're not on Saarland anymore. You just said us. Big losses for
Then,
us.
yeah.
You're not in the Saarland anymore.
I'm not there anymore. And then they also lost their American wide receiver JJ, who played in the Mexican League.
Oh yeah, you told me about it.
So yeah, he's done now. I'm still in contact with him. He's been trying to get back out here.
Mexico is an interesting place. Mexico football.
He said it's an experience, but an experience he doesn't want to do again.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of shit that goes down that you wouldn't expect in a football. Like every practice is full contact for them, which that's pretty ballsy. That's a lot of contact. Like you're gonna get ready for a game. That's very old school, but
after a point, the body is starting to fall apart too, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. Okay, but in general, the experience in Saarland. So we don't have to go into that. I know what happened to your quarterback and receiver in the beginning of season. That's shit.
Quarterback and linebacker.
The two Division 3 legends or powerhouse boys. They left after the first game because of some issues, right?
Yeah, so it was the main issue that really arose was that another teammate that they played with at Mary Hardin Baylor, who was an All-American safety, he was supposed to come in and play wide receiver for us. And so they had been there for 2-3 weeks already, and they told him that, they're going to fly in. They're going to fly him in within, like, the next week or something like that. And then a week went by, and then they said, okay, within the next week. Then another week went by. And it just kept getting pushed out.
Never actually happened.
And then we lost our first game against Algoy. Super close. It was a Hail Mary. It was a Hail Mary at the end.
Okay.
It was to end the game. Algoy threw up a Hail Mary to the same person that threw up a Hail Mary before half.
2 Hail Marys in one game. That's a record within itself.
Yeah. So we lost that game very closely, and they kind of put the blame on the organization, saying that if we would have had the wide receiver, we would have won.
Of course, that should.
Yes, exactly. And that's kind of what my thought process was. I was like, if we would have had him, maybe we could have won, but maybe we would have also lost it. It didn't matter to me as much. But the problem was they were my roommates. And like those are the guys that I've gotten closest with since I was there. And then from one day to the other, they left. And they were saying, okay, we're leaving now. We're booking our tickets and we're going to go. And so it was, I think that was the Monday after the game. So Sunday, it was a chill day. Monday after the game, they were like, okay, we're leaving. And that was because they had a meeting with a guy from the organization, and it did not go well at all. And they kind of gave me a rundown of it, and I don't think what they did was wrong, but it also wasn't the right thing to do.
Right,
or the
way
move,
to do
or right
it.
way to do it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I understood where they were coming from. I understood that, hey, yeah, like you guys have been promised all this, but it's literally all just empty promises.
Yeah.
And that was a thing that just kept happening over and over and over and over again. It wasn't the first time that it was an empty promise. Me flying out. They said I'm flying out on this day, and then I flew out 2 to 3 weeks later.
Okay.
Which that's a whole nother story. That messed a bunch of things up with my college and me having to take exams early and me stressing and then me just sitting at home getting all pissed off and literally telling them, like, if you don't fly me out within this week, I'm not coming. So it has gotten to those points more than once already. So, like I said, I understood where they were coming from, but like you said, it wasn't the right way to go about it. And then on Monday night, they booked their flight, and Tuesday they were gone.
Just like that.
Just like that.
And then imagine the shit storm that happened in the organization. You don't have a quarterback anymore.
All of us are now, okay,
what the fuck we got?
We don't have a quarterback. We don't have a linebacker. I might as well leave. Like there's no point in me staying. We don't have a quarterback or American linebacker. Like what am I even doing here? I can't even fucking play a game.
So what happened in the whole week then?
So
because did you play next week? Or
I think it was a bye.
Okay, so that's good.
It was a bye.
So extra time a little bit. So they were able to bring in the quarterback immediately, or
no? That was the issue. We were talking about it, and as imports. Yeah. So us, Tom, Kieran, myself, and Sebastian, who was our corner, who eventually also left. We kind of are talking about, okay, like, what are we gonna do now? It's like, we're still getting paid. We're still part of this organization. Yeah. We signed the contract. I don't want to just get up and leave. Yeah. That's not me. I'm not the type of person that when it gets hard, I'm just gonna dip out.
Plus, it's gonna leave a bad mark on your resume too. Exactly. In Europe in general.
Yeah, and I didn't want to do that. So we kind of talked about it together, and we said that we would talk to the organization and we would talk to the higher ups and see what are the issues going on.
Yeah.
So we talked to our team manager to an extent. He was like the guy in between our
president.
In between like the sponsors and the presidents and the team. And so we had a meeting with him, and he felt attacked in the meeting. Like, he felt we were attacking him and blaming him for everything.
The shit, yeah.
So if he started raising his voice, and that's when I physically said this to him. I said, I'm a grown up. Don't fucking raise your voice at me. If you want to have a normal business conversation, because this is a professional conversation, we can talk about this regularly. You don't have to raise your fucking voice at me. And that's exactly how I told him that too. And then he lowered his voice.
Oh, he actually did. Okay. Kudos to him.
But he didn't solve any problems. He just pushed everything to the side. Like, he didn't say that, okay, we're gonna do this and this and this and this, and that's how we're gonna solve all these issues. No. He just kind of put everything to the side, and I don't like that. If I have a problem, I want you to
solve it,
talk about it, and at least try to solve it or find a way to solve it. So that conversation left a very bad taste in all of our mouths, and we were all ready. We were all ready to go after that. We were all ready. Kyrian, myself, Tom, Sebastian. Sebastian was already pretty set on leaving, even before that meeting. But after that meeting, with how shitty it went and how unprofessional it went, I was like, yeah, I'm not about to play for this team if this is how unprofessional everything's going to be.
But what happened then? What changed it?
So the ex-president, part owner dash founder of the team, Hans, he had us over to his place. And he was the guy that did everything back in the day, but he had a heart issue. So he wasn't allowed to take all this stress upon himself anymore. So he kind of had to step back and just kind of like look from the distance.
Yeah, let the other people run it, actually.
He realized that these people didn't know how to run it, and they were doing a lot of mistakes. So he invited us to our place, and he the first thing that I actively made me realize, okay, this guy actually cares, was when he took out a notepad and a pen and started writing down all the problems that we were facing. He was writing down, he literally said, okay, one by one, tell me the issues that you're having. He didn't even talk about solutions, didn't talk about solving the problem yet.
Just recognize the problem.
Get the problem written down. And that's the first step.
Yeah.
I don't want to name drop. The person we had the meeting with before that, he didn't do a single thing. He kind of just looked at us, and like I said, he felt like he was getting attacked.
Yeah.
And
he was
personal. The one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When it wasn't. It wasn't personal at all.
Yeah.
But so he just wrote down all the issues that we were having, went all around, and then after we got done, he went down the list and talked about every single issue and talked about how we could solve it, what we think would be the right thing to do, what he can do to help us, all this kind of stuff. So that there and then showed me that, okay, there is somebody in this organization that really does care and does want this to still work and keep this going. So that really kind of brought us into a new chapter, might I say. That's when we as a team came together and we kind of said, because the culture as a team, the player culture was really good. We have these leaders, these homegrown leaders that kind of carry this culture that it's about the players, not about the coaches, not about the higher ups. It's really about us, the players. We create this, we make this. It should be all about us. Yeah, so we got together and we were talking about that, it doesn't matter how hard it's going to be, we're going to try to stick together. And it was a little difficult for me to kind of feel the same because all these German guys have been playing. This is their home team. Yeah. They love this team. They want to win.
They grew up with it, whatever, right?
They were raised in it. So for me, I kind of felt a little bit like an outsider, but I had to respect the commitment that all these players, outside of the coaching staff, outside of the higher ups, outside of all this other thing, the players wanted it. The players wanted to play. The players were close together. The players had this community and this friendship and this family feeling that when you heard it, you wanted to be a part of it. So we stayed. We figured it out.
When did you get the quarterback? That's the most important one.
So we got Robbie, I think it was 2 days.
For the next game?
3 days before the Munich game.
Who was the quarterback in the meantime then?
Marvin.
Local receiver?
Yeah, wide receiver.
Okay,
he played quarterback.
Okay.
So he would have played quarterback if we didn't have a quarterback. But the thing also was that we as imports said, if we don't have a quarterback and an inside linebacker by next game, we're gone. Because it doesn't make sense. I'm not about to play with a wide receiver.
It's challenging. Yeah.
Exactly.
So who did you get? So you got the Robbie as a quarterback?
So we got Robbie Royal, he was a backup at Cal for all 4 years. But people will say, oh, he was a backup. He can't be all that. But first of all, he got into Cal.
Yeah.
First of all, you need to get there.
Yeah,
and then you need to stay on the team as a scholarship. Yeah. So that's another thing. And if you watch him play, that man is a freaking stud.
Yeah.
He can play ball. But so he came from the UK. So he just got done
was in
playing
college,
college
right?
ball.
Yeah.
Yep. He literally just got done playing college ball.
Pedro?
Which was perfect timing with Pedro.
Yeah.
Perfect timing because he was getting kicked out of his place.
And he needed a place to stay.
So he needed a place to stay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then Salin came knocking, so he was like, perfect
Perfect
opportunity.
timing. Yeah.
Let me go to Salin.
Yeah.
So he came, and we also got Sam, who now plays at Schwäbisch Hall. We got him as our linebacker import, and right when they came in, we knew that it was going to be different because they were humble, they wanted to work. They were ready to
Different
get
mentality.
better.
Yeah. They actually want to be here.
Sam coming from Albright, a very low D3
Grade
school,
2, yeah.
hasn't won very much. He was really the only kind of stud on his team, like standout player. I think he has the record for tackles for the school.
Okay.
I think he started all 4 years or 3 years. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, he was a stud in college. So then we got him, and he came in super humble. He came in ready to work. He came in ready to prove himself. He didn't come in acting like, hey, I just want a championship. I'm all that. I don't need to prove myself anymore. We went to the gym. We put in work. So right away, we already knew that
We got the right guys, right? Yeah.
And the connection was different.
And
Robbie hung out with all of us. It wasn't just like a American and then European.
And then you made the run in the end. You beat the Swedish, shall make number 3 seed, right?
Yep.
Almost upset Dresden in Dresden. Yeah.
Yep, almost.
Almost, but it's still like looking where you fucking started, how it started, and you end up
and
there.
how it ended,
Opportunity
it was
to
wild,
beat Dresden in Dresden, that was still like a successful season, I guess.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Plus, personally, you were number 3 in the sex in the league, right?
I think something like that.
Yeah, it
Even
was
though
6.
It was only 6.
Yeah, I mean the number 1 had 8, so that's weird.
Wasn't very much.
I had 4, so yeah, but still, at tackles too, you were pretty high, right?
Yeah, at TFLs, I think I was top 3 as well.
Yeah. How many you had? Remember? 20s?
No, it wasn't at 20. I think it was 16, 17.
10 and a half. Okay, still
I
double
don't think
digit.
it was in the 20s, yeah.
So good season. So how was that off season? Now this past off season different from the previous one for you personally?
I didn't have an off season when I went to Saarland. That's the
Yeah.
thing.
Oh yeah. True. Fair
Because
enough.
went
I
from
mean
playing
recruiting
college
season.
Ball. Okay, recruiting
Recruiting season. Yeah, that's what I meant.
So I honestly didn't even get that much right from when the season ended.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of off time where I didn't really get anything when I was on a German squad because we were supposed to have the game against Israel.
Oh yeah. But
So I
then
stayed in
something
Germany
happened
for a
in
bit,
Israel.
and then
Yeah.
the stuff happened in the Middle East.
Yeah, Midwest, not Midwest, Middle East.
Middle East, where we also found out that one of the football player, like one of the guys on the football team, had actually passed away in the war. So it was actually it was really tough for the Israeli team.
Yeah, understandable too.
So we ended up not being able to play that game. And then I think the first team that honestly contacted me was Potsdam.
Ooh, David or
I think Saul got on it quick.
Okay.
So
in September, October.
It was before the New Year. It was before the New Year. For sure.
Yeah. Okay.
So the New Yorker German linebacker, inside linebacker, he's also on the German national team. I think he's number 42, huge biceps. I forget his name. But yeah, so he, because we had a bunch of meetings with the German squad, with the German national team. And so we stayed after a meeting, and he kind of asked me questions if I'm going to come back and want to play in the GFL. And I told him, yeah, I'd be down. And then he kind of put me in contact with their head coach. He said that he'd love to have me on the team next year at New Yorker. So he was actually like the first person and first official team that kind of somewhat reached out to me because he was just on the German national team.
Makes sense.
So it was easy for him to kind of reach out. And then... So I texted the head coach. He texted me back, and then I texted him back again, and I didn't hear back from him for like a month or two.
Okay.
And then during that time, I was on the phone with Saul. He put me in touch with Viger.
Mm-hmm.
First call was Saul and it was Saul and Birdie together. Then they put me together with Viger. He kind of went over the defense that he
Our
was gonna
defensive
play.
coordinator,
exactly.
yes.
And then he put me in touch with Coach Horn, and then I had a one-on-one meeting with Coach Horn as well.
Okay.
Where he kind of just went down.
Our D-line coach?
How are you gonna fit? What is your position gonna be? What's your job gonna be? How are you gonna play this position? All this kind of stuff. And when they kind of talked to me about it, I fell in love with Viger's kind of mentality and scheme, and just the American vision that he had. The difference that I had in Zalland as a D coordinator to now Viger was just such a huge step up.
Yeah.
And when I watched the scheme, when I watched him break down the film, I realized I can learn way more from here. In Zalland, I felt like I was coaching more and I was helping the Germans get to my level rather than increasing my level. And I want to do both. Obviously, I want to be there to help
as part
the
of
youngers.
Import is like
That's
help
your job. It's
your
part of
local
your job.
ones too.
Exactly. So I want to do that, but then to a certain degree, I also kind of have to be a little bit selfish and want to better myself because I'm still young. I still have a lot of years in front of me.
You're younger than even a lot of local guys.
Exactly. So looking at it that way, I wanted a coach that can help me understand ball on another level and understand the game of football in a different way than I had before. And talking to Viger, our DC, talking to Coach Horn, our D-line coach, they made me feel like there's so much more that I can still learn and that I can get better at. And I would play the position that I love.
Yeah,
which is outside linebacker.
Not the 3-tech.
Exactly. In Zalland, I played 3-tech.
Yeah.
And I'm not big enough to play 3-tech, as you can tell. I'm not a big boy. I'm a little quicker, more athletic type.
More of a stand-up.
Exactly.
More comfortable there. Yeah, makes sense.
Hey, if you put me inside against the pass rush, because then I get my little move going. Get a little shifty against the guards.
Seen it a couple of times in one-on-ones. yeah. But that's how it should be, though.
Exactly.
That's how it should be.
So yeah, I just fell in love with what they were showing me.
The decision was easy.
Yeah.
Plus, we won that one too.
Exactly.
Last year, maybe that helps a little bit.
For sure. Going to the defending champs. After I signed, I got into contact with Jalen Henderson, our
quarterback.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I talked to him a bunch, and just seeing his leadership and seeing his humbleness even after winning the German Bowl, I kind of fell in love with that as well. It was like, yeah, you're the best quarterback in Europe, but you're still humble. You're still putting your head down. You're still going to work. You're not talking about yourself about, I'm all this, I'm all that. No.
I told him that after we had the after party after German Bowl. I exactly told him exactly the same shit because I've heard so many stories of those American quarterbacks. I've seen it by myself. Like,
He's
it can be
humble.
like the humble part.
Even
like
with how good he is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He
reminds me of Robbie. Robbie was also super humble. Robbie never got cocky. Robbie never said, this is my doing. This is... No, he never did. And I feel like Jalen is the same exact way. Jalen really kind of wears his heart on his shoulder and kind of like shows everybody everything is as one.
Yeah.
Everybody in this organization matters.
Yeah.
It's not just the team. It's not just the coaches.
Everybody around there
It's not just the leadership. It's everybody. It's the people who set up the field. It's the people who cook the food for the game.
All the cakes. Cut the food. Cut
exactly.
the water.
It's all the little
films
things that all these people
fucking
do.
practices.
The moms that bring the waters to us. That's not their job. They're not getting paid for it. They're doing this because they love doing it. They love being there for us. So him being that humble and kind of showing that, and this entire team being like that. And then me even coming in, seeing the office, seeing how professional everything is, having the player meeting. We don't have a player meeting in Zalland when I was there. It was what it was.
Yeah.
Us being able to kind of create the own culture that we want. The culture
that is different from last year.
For.
Yeah, we won that thing last year.
Exactly.
Right? But it's a different team.
Exactly. It's a different team. There's different people on this team. There's a different way that I would identify with your last year stuff than you would.
Yeah.
So
100%.
we had to change it. So we identified with this team.
I mean, honestly, the
way.
weirdest thing was, like, we talked so much in the beginning of the camp because we still had ring ceremonies and stuff. We talked so much about last year and shit. I was like, can we fucking stop? Like, yeah, give me my ring and fucking stop talking about it. It's over. It was fucking nice. Let's talk about it like in 5 years. Let's come together and celebrate it, right? But fuck, we need to focus on this fucking year. And I mean, it's one thing to get on top, but it's a whole nother thing to fucking stay on top.
Stay on top, exactly.
Yeah. But we have pretty good bunch of people now this year, and
we have a stud of a team.
Yes.
And I think one thing that really drew me into this team as well, that once I already was here, was how inviting you guys were as like a championship team, because me coming in, Ashari coming in, all these guys coming in, Arthur coming in, we don't feel like we're a part of this team because you guys have just won the national championship.
We did something together that is really fucking hard to do.
And now me going to the ring ceremony, being like, I don't feel like I am part of this team.
Yeah.
You guys kind of erased that so quickly and kind of welcomed everybody in, which was, I feel like for you guys, you don't notice it as much, but for like a guy that's coming in from a different team that hasn't experienced it like that, it was super easy to kind of identify yourself with the team as one, how you guys always say. Whereas I was just able to kind of take it as motivation and be like, I want this ring. I want this shit next year. I want to be in the same exact spot next year, part of this. Not feeling like, hey, I'm not part of this. Actually being part of it, getting my ring, walking up there, putting that shit on. Just having that vision.
That's the only way to that's the best way to do it. You know?
Yeah.
Like you can't fucking control it. But the culture part here, that's crazy. Like I haven't played on so many teams in Europe, but that shit is different.
It's different. It's even different from like US teams. Like even in the US, like
colleges, you have so many fucking guys on the team. Anyways,
we had our coaches having to kind of put this culture on.
Yeah, same. We didn't have a player-led thing.
You kind of have to do that because your players switch so often and so much that your players do need to buy into the culture. And if your senior leaders have already bought in, it's so much easier to actually buy in.
100%.
But doing what really Potsdam does with these really only player-led meetings, that is a very one-in-a-kind type thing that not very many teams do, even in the US.
Yeah. As much as I've seen it too, it's different. Okay, we've never played professionally in US, but you never fucking know.
Even like when you watch Hard Knocks, like they still do it, and I think that's why these really good teams like the Lions. I'm a huge Lions fan.
Really?
Like the Lions, they have created this culture and this grit and this like biting off kneecaps. Dan Campbell didn't just come out and just throw it out there. They talked about that shit in practice. They were like, this is what we want to identify as. What do you guys want to identify as players? What do we want to identify as coaches? And
but it's like, it's so hard to define what is culture. It's not something like you write down and, that's our culture now. No. Plus, you have to adapt it to a people that are here.
Yeah.
Like and that's why like David said it, we haven't, it's gonna be out soon, but the mini movie about our German Bowl win and stuff, that's what David says there too. Our offensive coordinator and recruiter is like it's like all the guys here you would love to have all of them in a bar. Like you don't wanna like throw anybody out.
There's not one guy that you see and you're like, this guy again.
Yeah.
Like
exactly. Like
you have on the team.
And maybe we are not the best players, but like after a point, the skill can only get you that far. It's a team game. Like, it's fucking, you need 11 guys on the field to work towards the same goal, and then we can have success. And even then, it's fucking hard.
That's why football is the greatest sport there is.
That is true.
One guy doesn't do his job. The entire team
even though 10 other guys, the guys did it perfectly. Yeah. Our corner plays cover 2 when it's supposed to play cover 4, and there's a fucking wide open. But it is what it is. That's fucking football, and that's where you learn, and that's like who can limit those mistakes the best. Like that's those teams will end up with those championships in the end. You know. Yeah, that thing. Yeah, that's maybe one of the few words in German I can say, even though it's very similar to fucking Estonian. But yeah, like yeah. But move your arm. I'm gonna see. It's been 2 hours. Nice. We said 1 hour. It's been 2 hours, but we got it through. Yep. Like I mean, I'm not. You're 22 years old. You're fucking young.
Yeah, I've gone
but
through a lot.
you lived a life, you know.
A lot of future.
Yeah, exactly. So, but like last thing, like what you like, you want to continue playing football as long as you can, or like do you have specific goals you want to still achieve with football, or what?
So I don't say this very often, especially to like people that I don't really know. But like obviously, a dream would be NFL.
Yeah.
Not even being on a 53-man roster, being on a practice squad.
Just giving a chance. Just getting a chance. Yeah.
Experiencing that would be a dream come true. That CFL, like any upper football league, whatever I can physically go to and make, that is the ultimate end goal. So I want to play football.
So you want to chase
pretty much until the freaking wheels
come off. Yeah.
Because I can do criminal psychology and catch criminals when I'm 35 years old.
Yeah.
I can't play football at this level when I'm 35 years old. Yes, I can still play football for maybe some team in Istanbul or something, so I can just live there and experience
in Romania, fucking Romania.
Just like some beautiful city that I can just experience.
Yeah.
But I can't play at the level that I'm playing now when I'm 30 to 40 years old. But I can do this desk job or this other clinical job when I'm 40 years old. 100%. So, yeah, football is, I'm going to do this. I was very blessed to be able to do this with my parents because there's a lot of kids that straight out of high school, straight out of college, you have to go work. You have to go provide for your family. You have to go put food on the table for your family,
live a normal
siblings, all this kind of stuff. Exactly. So I was very blessed, and I talk about this a lot, to have my parents and have my parents where they are at this point.
Yeah, like that's the craziest thing. Like that's a fucking rabbit hole. But I had the same thing. Like my parents, like have always like, even if I told them it's like I want to play American football, they looked at me, what the fuck is American football, right? But like it's like, okay, you want to go. Yeah. Like there isn't like. Give your children fucking opportunity to do something, chase something. Because like football has taken me places that I would have never thought I would go.
You've met people you've never met.
Exactly.
You've seen places you've never seen.
Exactly.
Like,
and if it's right now, I'm older than you. I'm 20. I'm gonna be fucking 30 at the end of this year. I have friends who are buying houses, who are making babies, all that shit, like living normal life. But at the same time, it's like, do I want to do it right now, or I have opportunity to do something fucking cool, to live in a foreign country, to meet people like you, fucking Ashari, fucking Zach Arthur, or closest to us, and then all the other imports we have on the other side of town, right? We are on our little suburb here. Yep. But it's like that's like a once in a lifetime opportunity, and fucking like saying to you, like, do it as long as it feels right to you, and as long as you fucking enjoy it.
Exactly.
That's all it matters. Who the fuck cares what others say? Like, and like. Win a couple of championships too, you know.
Exactly.
That helps.
And
that makes it more fun.
Most people are gonna be like, dude, it's such a blessing and such a dream. But then there's always gonna be those guys, always those downers that say, oh, get a real job. Yeah. Oh, why don't you go into the real life? Yeah. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Because I don't fucking want to yet. Yeah. That's
like,
why.
You can, like, and you don't even have to do it.
Exactly.
Like, you can live your life like you fucking want it.
Exactly.
Like
I've worked my ass off for so many years now that I've gotten this opportunity. Yeah. I'm not just going to throw it away to work a 9 to 5.
You might never get another opportunity.
Exactly.
Like, when you're here, like, don't think it's going to be here forever. It's not going to be here forever. Like, you never know. Like, Coach Weiger always says, this might be the last practice you will ever have.
You never know. Yeah, you never know. Because somebody could come flying into your knee, tear all your
You might fall down the stairs. Who the fuck knows?
Fucking
like,
get a concussion, and then now you can never play again because something in your brain is off. Like, you never know.
Yeah.
There's this tight end in college, which is a great example of that. He got his last concussion. He was not allowed to play any more football. He got a concussion, and then the doctor said, "You're done. You can't play unless you want to be brain dead eventually."
Yeah, like no, that's
you don't want to do that. Like, the sport is awesome, but I don't want to be brain dead. But yeah, it was It was practice too. It wasn't even a game. It was the last practice he had, and that was hard for him because he loved the game. He loved the sport. He was good.
Yeah.
So like just having that in the back of your mind, knowing any
there
time
is
could
an
be your
end
last
date.
time.
Like for athletics, there is an end date for you, everybody, because there will always be a younger, stronger, faster guy behind you. It's like, you know, like so it's always like that, and it's just fucking enjoy it as long as you can and just have fun while doing it.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So it's a fucking rabbit hole. You can talk about it for another 2 hours if you want to.
Yeah, you really could.
Yeah, but it's fucking, what is it? It's 8:30. I still want to cut it together too. So, yo, Josh, that was fun.
Appreciate you.
So my fucking pass rush buddy, my T-line buddy. Yeah, so we still have
20 sacks this year.
Yeah, we have 11 games
least.
to go. Yeah, 11 games plus hopefully 3 other ones in playoffs. We'll see. And thanks for listening. And we will see maybe some more English episodes. Yeah, hopefully, if I'm not too lazy, right? Okay, thanks for listening. Okay, ciao.